Alrighty, different face tonight, but welcome to Penny for a Tale. Tonight we are still playing Pathfinder 2e, but it is going to be a special one-shot tonight called Tavern at the End of the Road. While Ian is out gallivanting around the world until he comes back in 2 weeks. So you guys are in for a special treat. So before we get into our sponsors tonight, we're going to go ahead and introduce our cast. Many of the faces you guys will recognize, but we are all playing different people tonight. So we're going to go ahead and start over here on my left. Nope, right. We're going to start with James.
With me? Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I feel so special. Hi everybody, I'm James. You can catch me here every Sunday night, playing generally Waldorf Skysteel in his many incarnations. A couple of other characters. And tonight I am going to be playing Jin Starkey, a young fisherman who has grown up in the town and comes to the tavern at the end of the road at the end of the day to drown his sorrows, so to speak. Yeah, that's all you need to know about me.
Perfect. We'll continue down. I'm so excited to meet Jen. Down with Jen. Jen, that's not going to get confusing.
Oh boy. Hi, I'm Jen. Tonight I will be playing Susanna Dindrel, or Susan, as she is called. She is an elven bard who went and set off on adventure. And the adventures are really expensive, as it turns out, and she's not very good at budgeting. So she very quickly ran out of money and took up a job as a waitress at the tavern at the end of the road. But she still has her dreams, guys. She's gonna make it someday.
She will definitely, hopefully, make it someday. Let's go over and introduce Mr. Smith.
Hello, I am Mr. Smith. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Tonight I will be playing William Thane, a drunkard at the end of the road tavern. Perhaps you will find more about him later.
Perhaps. And last but not least, we're going to go up and introduce Anna. She is a new face with us tonight.
Yes, hey, I'm Anna. I'm LGBTQIA+ activist and museum worker. Stream a lot of TTRPGs. You can find me on Twitter at Hannah Wotan. Tonight I will be playing Eliayns Chaley, or as people call her, Elle. She's a half-elf sailor, swashbuckler. Been on the sea for a few years now, but just passing through the tavern.
Perfect. I'm so excited about everyone that we have coming together tonight. So real quick, as promised, tonight's session and all of our Pathfinder sessions are brought to you by Smiteworks, who are the builders of Fantasy Grounds Unity, which we have been using throughout our campaign on Sundays with our Age of Ashes. We will also be using it tonight, but it will be more behind the scenes than on the screen as it normally is. We also use the Only Sheet, which Mr. Smith used to create his character. It is an amazing sort of Excel-powered character management tool for Pathfinder 1st and 2nd editions, as well as various editions of D&D. As well, our music tonight is by Michael Gelfi and Rock Narden, and you can find links to their music in the show notes. You can kind of hear the crackling of the fire right now. That's Michael Gelfi. He does amazing ambient tracks for different games and sort of that mood setting. So other than that, we're just going to go ahead and hop right in, and I'm just going to talk a whole bunch and then let you guys talk a whole bunch. So the tavern at the end of the road is literally that, the single tavern down the single street that runs through Claes of this small town of 600 people. Within the tavern that you guys all find yourselves in tonight, it's a comfortable place. You turn your head one way and you get that smell of fresh baked bread. You turn your head the other way and it is that sort of citrusy, earthy scent of hops and other sort of liquor. And then, turning from the bar towards the rest of the tavern is just that smell of wet dog and sweat, people working, as well as, the smell of the sea, which sort of permeates all of this town and everybody. Or at least that's what landlubbers call it. It's the smell of the shore to those that have been on the water a lot. And basically it's whatever's rotting on the shore, at that time, seaweed and whatnot. But things that you describe what you see, what the tavern looks like to you.
So for Susan, because she works here, the tavern is basically like a second home. Most of you guys have seen her all the time, especially if you're regulars. I'm probably have built up some sort of rapport. She usually has just that super easy air about her where you just there's no it always seems like she has your best interest at heart, and it's just always very much yeah, come on, sit down, stay a while. Take a load off those feet of yours.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Please talk like that all night.
Yes, I will. You
got to.
It is definitely this place that you, Susan, as well as Sal, your boss, have created that is very homey. It's comfortable. These sort of roughly hewn tables, as well as these mismatched chairs around them. Off in the corner, there's a fireplace that usually is burning, but right now is cold. And other than that, the place is full of this, that quiet hum of just constant chatter and the clinking of glassware and that sound of people drinking and chugging things. It's nothing that you're able to completely focus on, but it's just sort of this entire atmosphere that's there. Sitting at the bar is this very sort of typical sight of this large man. A groove leads right to his chair down the center from the entrance door right to that seat. There's no sort of deviations from that. Mr. Smith, why don't you introduce your character? What is Will doing right now?
William Thane stands at, if he was standing, at a good 6'7", easy. He is hunched over, sitting on a seat that barely contains his ass, to be completely honest. Sort of crinkles under the consistent weight that he's put upon it. He leans over the bar, sort of hunched, a mug of ale nearby. Every now and again, he'll look up, take a drink from it, look around, huff. His blonde hair is greasy, kind of matted a bit. The beard, similarly so. You can smell months of ale just coming from the beard itself. Next to him, against the wall, is a great sword, standing at about 7.5 feet. It has created a groove, not only from the door to the seat itself, but a divot in the wall where the pommel rests. But he just looks at the crowd, huffs a bit, raises an empty mug, asking for another pint. Susan, fill this up, please.
Hold your horses, I'm on it. She would drop off like she has her arms full of various dishes of things and, expertly doles them out to a flat top of adventurers before running back behind the bar, grabbing the mug, and doing like a deft little thing. Now answer me this, Mr. Thane. You're always fucking here. Not that I'm complaining. You tip real well, and I really appreciate it bunches. But, where do you get it? Because you're always here.
Do I have good coin?
Oh, yeah, again, there's no disputing that. I'm just saying, it's a mystery. And, I am a person of who wants to know these stories, because it's we've built up this rapport, you and I.
He grabs the mug
I love it.
and drinks and puts it back down and puts his head against the bar.
Right, good talking to you. She gives him a little pat.
Perfect. Sitting not too far down the bar is a relatively newer face, a half-elf, who also, has been a sight here for the last couple of days, but there's stories there that you don't know yet, Susan. Sort of still a mystery. Elle, why don't you describe your character, what she looks like, what she's doing right now?
Yeah. Half elf with short, black, wavy hair, loose clothing, shirt and trousers, and reds and browns, very much sailor wear. The clothes are bleached a bit by the sun. The edges are fraying and showing a bit of wear. They're well-made clothes, but starting to look a bit old, in need of repair. And much as she has been for the last few days, sitting at the bar, alternating between talking with people or playing cards and just kind of staring off into the middle space.
Yeah, so Susan would walk over with, her pad and just be like, "How's it going, sweetheart? You look like you could use a bit of pie. We got a lovely coconut cream in the back."
Yeah, that sounds great. I think a bit of pie would help. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. You need anything, and any of these jamokes start messing with you, you call Susan, okay?
I appreciate it. Pie and another drink I think would do just fine.
Of course, right away. She'll, again, just bustle off.
Susan, another pint.
I'm working on it. She's just somewhere in the back. Damn! You gotta dab them first, then put them in the pot. Don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah, over the top of that sort of window that peeks back into the kitchen, you hear a clamoring of pots and pans falling down, and then this little head peeks up. This is your boss, Susan Sal. She has a bit of flour on her nose from the bread that she's been eating. But what she lacks in size, she's this small little halfling. She definitely makes up for in confidence and boisterousness. Um, she just looks at you. She's like, I'll have these things ready when I have them ready.
Hey, you don't gotta sass me, Sal. I know you're on it. I'm just saying, it was a bit alarming when I saw them critters rolling around.
We don't need to be talking about the critters right now.
All right. My lips are sealed. I'm gonna take the key and just put it in here.
There's enough space in there, so you better keep it down there tight.
Oh, Sal.
She just sort of has this big grin on her face as she passes a plate up through the window. Now you take this over there to Mr. Starkey, all right? And you tell him it was from me.
Of course. You got any more of that coconut cream pie in the back? Customer over there is interested.
You just wait a hot second and I'll go get that right now, okay?
So while she's waiting for the pie to be cut and everything, she would walk over to Gin to drop off his dish. How you doing, honey? How's your mother?
Jin kind of looks up like he wasn't expecting anybody. He's off in his own little world, staring out the window. Oh, hey, Suze. Sorry, she's fine. She's doing great. She's the cold gets in her bones, but other than that, she's doing good. How are you?
Well, you remind me after hours, and we'll get a mug of soup right for her, okay? This is from Sal. She was very particular that you know that it came from her.
Jin leans back in his chair so he can see past Susan and kind of waves to Sal. Thanks, Sal. Appreciate it.
She actually flips you off through the window. You just see the little hand poke up.
I love you too, Sal. I love you too. All right. And he flicks a coin to Susan. Thanks for all the legwork, love.
Oh, you haven't even seen my legs. How do you know?
He blushes bright red. Jin is probably one of the younger patrons of the tavern at the end of the road. He's in his early 20s, very early 20s. His father was lost at sea a few years back when he was still a little too young to be in charge of things. But he's done the best he can, trying to take care of his mom and his little sister and brother, and he's got that look of the weight of the world on his shoulders, but at heart he's still just a boy who's trying to keep up with everyone around him. So he's not quite used to the attention of a worldly woman like Susan. Oh, he does have bright red hair, by the way, which is why everybody calls him Jin. It's short for Ginger.
So cute. Speaking of which, you notice usually in the tavern, the windows are open wide. The shutters are, there to let the room breathe, to let that sea air come in. But all of the shutters are closed tight tonight. It's early evening. Not the most normal thing for them to be, but yeah, that normal, you're looking out the window, you're just looking into some wooden boards tonight.
He didn't even notice until the world caught back up. It's oh, that's odd.
Susan would again slide another mug of ale down towards Thane before grabbing the pie at the window and just sort of lean over to ask Sal, like, hey, Sal, you want me to open them shutters so we can let some of the cool night breeze in? It's getting a bit stuffy, no?
No, we keep them closed.
Everything
Everything
okay?
stays. It's fine, but just keep them closed. She seems to be kneading the dough just a little bit more harsher, with a little bit more gusto than normal.
She, like, leans over more into the window, like, you getting into some trouble, Sal?
Now, Susan, you take that pie over to who ordered this pie. I'm not paying you to be
Okay.
talking to me.
I mean, you know, it's fine. I'm just saying, if you got into some trouble, you just let us know. We'll work it out, okay? We've gotten out of weirder jams than this. Probably.
No, probably.
Oh, okay. This is one of those things I don't ask questions about. That's fine. She'll take the pie back over to Al. Sorry for the wait, sweetheart. It's a bit busy.
No worries. I'm not going anywhere. Thank you for the pie.
Of course. This your first time in town?
Yeah, just passing along the coast seemed like a good place to stop. It's a nice little town.
It's a bit of a rat hole, if truth be told. But, you know, I ain't gonna judge. The people are nice and they treat me well. But, you know, like, where you been? I'm so interested in, like, learning more about what's all out there. There's a whole world.
Sailing mostly. I've been on the inner sea working the trade routes. So, city to city, just moving different goods. Nothing too exciting.
Oh, that just depends on your perspective. I know some folks who can take a yarn and make it into a fucking quilt.
Wow. I don't have any skills like that. Just pulling lines mostly. It's work. It's hard, but it's work. Is it usually so stuffy in here?
Not usually. It's you know, but I don't know. Maybe there's a storm coming or something. Who knows? You know, Sal's got an eye and an ear and every other, you know, funny elbow that can sense these things. So, you know, you gotta trust them, right?
I guess so, yeah. Well, it's not bothering me too much. I'll be here still.
Hey, you know, with so much time at sea, you're probably sick of the fresh air. So having some stuffy, you know, smells and things, it's gotta be nice.
It's a nice change of scenery, I guess, rather than looking around and seeing just water for miles. It's nice to be around some different people, I guess. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, sit down, stay a while, put your feet up, but not on the table. Sal gets very upset when they're on the table.
I will keep my feet off the table, thank you.
All right, sweetheart. Thanks a lot for the chit chat.
Susan. Stu, please.
Jesus Christ, Mr. Thane, you're like a fish. Is there some
Will's in
awkward
fine
in
form
your
tonight.
bloodline?
He's talking your ear off tonight, isn't he, Suze?
That's so true. Usually you can't get but a dozen words out of them. There's been at least, 15?
Well, anyone ever tell you talk too much, love?
Stu,
That's more like it.
please.
She pours another thing, slides it down.
He just takes the empty mug and pushes it over into the bucket on the other side of the bar.
You want any food to wash down your booze?
Stew, please.
Remember. Okay. Now, just between us, don't ask too many questions about what the lumps might be, because you know how much Sal hates questions.
From the back,
Look at that with concern.
you just hear, I told you not to be talking about the critters.
I didn't say anything. I ain't said nothing, Sal.
You see Jin over in the corner, like, smack something in his bowl with a spoon, like, get back. Goes back to eating.
What up for stew, please? Give us that bowl of brown, Sal, when you're on it.
Despite the very strange ways that Sal talks about the food and the comments that Susan makes, it tastes very good. The way only a halfling is able to season and cook food. But yeah, she passes this very dubious looking stew up into the window. Those trademark little lumps in it, little tentacle kind of crawling out, but it's fine. It's edible.
Yeah, those are the best part.
Yeah, not so much about presentation as texture.
Exactly. Texture. There's a lot of different textures in this.
Every once in a while they bite back a little bit, but that's all right. It's part of the adventure.
That's just the spice.
She grabs the stew, puts it in front of Thane, like, all right, Mr. Thane, everything you need to grow big and strong. Bigger! Well, assuming you want that. I don't know what your business is.
Thank you.
Are you good on ale? I just want to make sure before I go over there.
Will you provide me the tap?
We did that the one time, but remember, you ended up getting passed out, and then you were real heavy. And again, I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that I'm not very strong, So, I needed to have some of the boys come over and help out. And Sal sort of frowned on it.
I remember.
If it happens again, we'll just put a blanket over him and let him sleep.
It was a good night. That was a real bonding experience for all of us. We all got to know each other better as people.
I was unconscious.
Yeah, but you talk and you sleep.
With a lovely singing voice. Who knew?
Now you're lying.
Me lie? I would never. Come on, Mr. Thane. You know I'm a nice girl.
What's in the stew?
We don't ask questions. Especially when we don't want to know the answers to those. Ignorance is bliss, Mr. Thane. Keep that in mind. And Shellen, she always says, inner beauty. That's what you gotta be going for. And that's what this stew is, okay? It may not look pretty, but it's got heart.
His hand sort of clenches at somewhere along her statement. And his entire arm just sort of flexes a bit as he takes a long draw on his pint. I'll need another one, please.
You okay, Mr. Thane?
I'm fine.
Okay. You seemed a bit more morose than usual.
Pint, Susan. Please.
Okay.
Sal has come out from the kitchen and is standing behind the bar now. She has this hound at her feet that's just sort of curled up. It's very much normally there, usually sleeping. And she's just sort of scratching behind his ears. Come here, Susan.
All right, Sal, what's going on? We got a lot of busy tables.
Okay. Now you tell Mr. Thane. Are you listening, Susan?
I'm listening.
Okay. That he needs to close his tab tonight, and I have a way for him to do it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is this another one of them things I don't ask questions about?
She said, don't ask questions about things you don't want to know the answers to.
Okay. All right. I got it. So, yeah, she would grab, she'd give a doggo a ear spritch, and then on her way back behind the bar, grab another mug, start to slide it to Thane, and then stop and be like, Val says that she wants you to close your tab tonight, but she got a way for you to do it.
He lifts his head up from eating stew. The stew just caked in his beard. Fine. What's the job?
I assume you gotta ask Sal.
Where?
She told me not to ask her no questions, so I didn't.
Where is Sal?
Where is Sal?
She's still behind the bar, just sort of crouched back behind the counter, not really visible right now. Just scratching Ferdinand behind the ear.
Susan would sort of, gesture Thane to lean over a little bit and just sort of jerk her head towards where Sal is.
Will sort of stands and looms over the bar just to peek down. Is there a problem, Sal?
While he's standing, Susan is very quickly trying to scrub the area where he was, just to clean it, because it's a rare time to do so.
Now, Mr. Thane, are you able to walk?
I'm only 5 pints in. I'm fine.
Then you walk around this counter and you come over to me. You don't lean over my counter to talk to me.
Fine. He'll push himself up. His clothing is sort of dirty and ratted, sort of farmhand attire. He's got sleeveless vest on, no undershirt beneath that. Just nothing but muscle on this guy. He stands at his full height, just towering. He looks over at Susan. Don't let anyone touch my blade.
On my honor, Mr. Thane. Don't worry.
And he will walk around, slowly plodding to get around the bar. And then he'll squeeze behind Susan, if she's still there, and kneel down a little bit.
Basically, they sort of switch places, and then Susan very quickly goes to scurry and clean off the rest of the space.
It's a pretty nasty spot on the bar, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's not coming clean easily with your rag. It's just caked in there, this grime that, you know, you would need to like scratch off.
Yeah, we see her a couple of times just like...
Alright, so how am I resetting the tab?
Let's think. How long has your tab been open again? Just to put it in my noggin.
He says that and he thinks a long, long while. I don't quite remember most of last month.
All right, you're
But
taking
I
too
think-
long. You're taking too long, hun. It's been a while. She just sort of motions for you to come closer.
He leans in.
Dear, you are much too tall. Okay. She just sort of drops her voice. Now, this stays between you and me, Mr. Thane. Can you do that?
Who do I talk to?
I don't want anyone leaving this bar tonight. Nobody leaves that door.
Are you going to kill people in this bar?
Excuse me. And she says this very loudly.
Right
Mr.
then.
Thane, are you harassing Sal?
As usual, negotiation.
Mr. Thane,
How many exits? Just the front?
just the front. Then back in the kitchen.
I can
You can
only
see
watch
them
one
both
door
from your seat.
effectively. Oh. Seeing is one thing, stopping is another.
Well, I don't want you
But
to
I'll do
kill
my
anybody
best.
to stop them. All right?
No one will die.
Make And she glances up, sort of peeking over the bar, just the top of her head. Her eyes quickly scanning and resting on Elle for a moment. It's like, I don't know that one. You keep an eye on her, okay?
All right.
You make sure nobody leaves this bar tonight,
No one leaves.
and your tab will be reset.
Right. I'll need some of that fine bread you bake.
Oh dear, and she'll slap you on the shoulder. Now get out from behind my bar.
Of course.
Sam, can I, cause I'm a whisper elf, can I have done, do you want me to roll perception to have picked up on that conversation, or is it close enough that she would have overheard it?
Go ahead and roll perception for me.
Okay. Hey!
Yeah.
That's a good roll!
You definitely heard that.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I imagine she's cleaning and then very briefly stops and sort of tilts her head. And again, for those of you who don't know, whisper elves, they have bigger ears than normal. But, you know, just very much pretends like everything is fine.
Will stand, plod back around from behind the bar, take his seat. Thank you for cleaning it, Susan.
No problem, Mr. Thane. If you left it a bit more often, I'd be able to make it a bit more shiny, okay?
I enjoy the beer.
pretty good. Also, and she do this like flourish to gesture that his blade is exactly where it is, untouched, unmolested, super fine. Like, your partner in crime. Not assuming you did crime. I don't ask questions.
Good.
Perfect. What are you doing right now? Probably having finished your pie. You might notice, Jen, you have this habit of shuffling your deck, right? After your
Yes.
meal. Oh, you are muted, my friend.
Actually, I would kind of assume that Elle and Jin have already played cards a couple of times, because Jin is always down for a game of cards, and he's always got a deck or two on him. So yeah, he's definitely, fidgeting with them, doing like the one-handed deck cut and all that fun stuff. And
Yeah, I probably took
got
a
a
little
bit of
longer
a-
than. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Probably took a little longer than needed to go to eat the pie. Kind of fished through it with my fork, making sure none of the whispered critters made it into the pie as well. And then once finished, I'll glance over towards Jin. If I see him messing with his cards, I'll walk over. You have to lose some more money tonight?
Oh, big talk. And he, his face breaks into like a roguish smile, and he just gestures to the seat across from him and starts shuffling and deals whatever game they have played in the past. Same as always.
I like consistency.
Well, I think I might have a few tricks up my sleeve today. Not really. And he like shows that he's got nothing up his sleeves. Bit of a wink.
Well, we'll see how good those tricks do you today.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Come on. Sit down at the famous table. Try your luck. Not you. And he points at
Will
Will.
will stand up, grab his tankard, walk over to the table. Are you dealing again?
Will,
Jin?
the mountain moves. Oh, his legs work twice in one day. Have a seat.
Clearly
Will,
you
have a
don't
seat.
stop talking.
Oh. It only seems that way because you speak so little, my friend.
Yeah. Slams his... Say slams. That's not very hard, but... So jostles some of the ale out of his tankard as he sits down. It has been a long time since I've played.
Are you any good?
No.
Why don't I believe
Okay.
He'll reach into a pouch that's strapped up toward his back and... Are you playing for coin?
Always.
you? Of course we're playing for coin. What's the other point?
How much?
Oh, let's start small. A couple silver, maybe?
Put the coin that he had in his hand back and pull out again and drop a couple silver.
I'll toss a few in as well.
Jin matches the bet. All right.
Don't cheat, Jin. I'll know.
I would never. I swear. It's like we haven't known each other,
Keep an eye on my
our
blade.
entire lives, Will.
Watch my
Nobody's
blade,
gonna
Jin.
touch your
If it
sword,
moves,
Will.
you're cheating.
Right, fine. Straight as it is then. Aces high. And away we go.
You folks
Now the
play
question
nice
is,
over there. It took me a week to get the blood out the last time, okay?
That was an accident, Suze. Come on.
It was an
He didn't.
accident,
He didn't.
maybe.
part in that.
He didn't mean to hit me that hard. I'm sure. Isn't that right, Will? And he like elbows Will.
Yeah, but then
course.
I had to hear your mother come crying about her baby's beautiful face got damaged.
Well, it the crooked nose just adds character. You know.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you there. But again, I made her a promise, and that's a nice woman you got.
Like a nice woman to
So
me.
Jen, the question
That's
is,
all right. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
do you cheat?
Me? No, never. Matter of fact, he didn't cheat last time. Will's just a sore loser. Or at least that's the story, and he's sticking to it.
I agree. Everyone that is playing this game, go ahead and throw a d6 into the tower. If the tower is there, I think it should be. There we go. Oh, there should be like a little tower. It looks like a castle type thing somewhere on your fantasy grounds screen. And if you throw your dice into there, you can't see the roll, but I can.
So I would like to point out that as Jin is dealing these hands, the cards are flying and stopping exactly in front of each player. Like surgical precision as to where these cards are landing.
Perfect. And Jen actually wins the first hand.
Now, see,
Sort of
if I
throws
was
it.
cheating, I'd have lost the first hand just to get you in the goods. But just so you know.
Mm.
You're watching him, right?
Every
Watch
night.
all you like. Still not cheating. Double or nothing. Come on, let's go. Let's make it interesting.
Sure, I'm in.
All right, all right. I
We'll
knew you
also
would
be
be.
in.
Not going to take this out on me if you lose, though, are you? Again. Actually, maybe you can knock my nose back the other direction. That'd be nice. It's just like talking
may
trash
aim
as
that
he's
way.
dealing. I mean, you got to swing with your left hand next time, so you got to get it evened out. You know, it can't be all right fist. You got to have a little left jab in there every once in a while.
Left hand's for the sword. I can swing that at you if you like.
I mean, I don't think our relationship has gotten quite to that level yet. But give me a couple more drinks and I'll think about it.
There.
He kind of like waggles his eyebrows sexily. Big strapping bloke like you.
Will, you're still holding on to your cards. Haven't yet called or done anything with them, just holding them. It's strange. Jen wins this hand again.
Not
I'm
cheating,
on a
huh?
roll tonight. I tell you.
That's one word for it, yeah.
Susan, you have an instinct for this sort of thing, sort of one of those intuition is the word. When you know that trouble might be on the rise. As you see Jin like pulling the winnings towards himself from this double or nothing hand.
Okay. So I feel like as she sees that, she comes over with like a big plate of like shots, and it's just like, how you doing, everybody? How's the game going here on the house? And she like
Oh,
gives
that's
Jen
gonna
a
help.
look. Gives Jen a look of like, some of that is mine.
Going
Jin's got that.
suspiciously well for some of us.
Jin's got that like cocky 20-something swagger going right now, and does not see death like 6 inches from his face.
Yeah.
He's known Will long enough to like know when his top's about to blow. It's like, he can handle at least one more hand.
It is very likely
More ribbing.
Will can palm Jin's face.
If he can catch me.
Oh boy, these
The
games
building's
just
only
get
so
so
big.
exciting.
The wild card here is Elle. You've played a couple of hands with her, but not, you don't have as much of a read on her. Elle, how would you have responded to losing these two hands? You had horrible cards both times.
A little frustrated, but that seems to be my luck lately. Watching closely, especially since Jin won both of them. Does he normally win the few times that I've played? Is that a normal circumstance?
He's got some good
What would you
luck,
say,
I
Jen?
think. Probably about 50-50. He wins more than he loses, but not by like an obscene amount. He's just lucky.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, fine.
With some
fine. He takes his coat off and like slings it over his chair, so he's very he's bare sleeve, like his forearms are bare. He doesn't have gloves. He's trying to make a show of like, I'm not hiding anything. Please don't punch me in the face.
Look at the nice tan on ya. That really came out so nice. Very even.
It's a strange contrast to his red hair, is the tan skin.
Would you say he's
Yeah.
tanned, or is it just kind of more of a solid freckle at this point?
I was gonna say it's
a
like all
tan?
of the freckles have just turned into one.
Oh my god.
No,
Yes.
he's definitely he spends every day out on the water fishing. So yeah, he's approaching boot leather at an early age, we'll say.
Yeah. Usually when I see humans with your color, and they're just they go out on the water and then they come out looking like a fucking lobster. Not you though. It's very nice.
I mean, I used to when I was younger, but after this long, what good would I be on a boat if I came back burnt every day?
That's true.
Can we get another round?
I just brought
Only
you
this
shots.
Yeah, but
I need to
And
ale,
stop
please.
stalling. Deal us
ale.
another hand.
Ale? Ale? You want ale? Ale? He thinks he's
Sure.
funny.
Yeah. Whatever's
He
coming.
pays for the drinks out of the winnings that he just collected from everybody else. See, I'm not taking it all with me. Come on.
Will, did you say you would have taken all the shots while everyone was sort of chatting with Susan?
I mean, if they were there and not being drunk, yes.
As a matter of fact, Jin goes to take his shot and it's already empty. And he's like, well, all right then.
It's
We
great.
really just added whatever wasn't being drunk to his tankard.
created some sort of noxious drink going on. But yeah, you'll notice two gentlemen that were sitting near the hearth, the cold fireplace, have gotten up and are heading towards the door. They're slowly walking, their arms are sort of slung over one another as they're going. Susan, you see this too.
Susan, 2 drinks, strong ones.
Aye,
Will will
Mr.
stand
Thane.
up. Are there 2 drinks currently on the table?
Seems like there's 4 empty shot glasses, 3 empty shot glasses,
Any other tankards?
and just yours? Unless Ellen, Jen, have you guys finished yours?
Probably not completely.
Has Jin finished his? You're muted.
Sorry, I had a fire truck going by. There's like just enough left in Jin's tankard to get him to the next drink if Susan would get about her business.
So,
going. Wow.
Will grab L's, his own, and
What? Hey,
Jin's,
what?
putting his and
Hey,
L's in one hand, and Jin's
What?
another, and walk towards the 2 blokes leaving.
I'm not done with
Does he always do
Hang
that?
on, we're getting you. Don't worry about it. Keep your pants on,
And
or
he'll,
don't. I mean, actually, we're not that kind of establishment.
What? I mean, what time do you close?
I'm 3 times your age, young man.
Which means you've got a lot to teach me, doesn't it?
I roll my eyes hard at that.
Jin flirts hard with Susan, like knowing that he's not getting anywhere. You know, it's that kind of like he knows that it's an insurmountable obstacle, and that just makes him try that much harder. Almost like he knows it's not going to do anything.
She just like looks like it's one of those things where like she stopped, like that one was enough for her to stop and turn. You kiss your mother with that mouth.
Not since I was 12. But if you want to give me a go, I don't think I've lost too much of a step.
Do you want these drinks or not?
Yes, preferably in, not on.
Will get between the 2 guys walking towards the door, and he'll just look at them. Congratulations, you've won 2 drinks. As he puts the L's and his tankard in front of them. Go, drink them.
One of them points down at the drink. Well, this one's half drunk.
Bad pour, enjoy.
I'd say it's half full. Because I'm an optimist.
Give me an intimidate roll. Just your
Are you sure?
presence.
Are you
I'm scared.
sure?
We'll see how it goes. Oh wait, I didn't put your stuff in. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Oh, you did it. Okay, never mind. I'm talking to myself. Yeah.
Oh, fair.
Fucking nice.
Very fair. They look at one another, and just all they can really do is nod their heads. It is a rare sight to see Will out of his seat, another one to actually be talking to them. And they immediately nod their heads, and you kind of hear that squeak of a thank you before they head back to the table that they had just vacated.
Did they take
Just
the drinks with
scurrying
them?
back. Yes.
Okay.
They are scared. You could see them once they finally sit down, like their backs are just stiff. And their hands are just flat on the table. They look like they want to like lean in to chat with one another, but they're too scared to do
Yeah, Will's
anything
just
as they
watching them.
just sit.
So seeing
Will, you in or not?
that, Susan would drop off, the fresh round of drinks for the card table, and then walk over to them. And if I can do like a brief performance, like a fascinating performance where she tells some sort of body story to lighten the mood back up. That would be cool. Because I should have the thing to do multiple people. If that's alright.
Yes.
While Will is at the door, he'll actually give the room a scan, trying to estimate how many people are here.
So that's when I looks at the guy and I says, "It was in her other shoe!"
It is a very normally the story gets you like arousing laughter. This one is just sort of, apparently they're still very much intimidated by what happened with Thane.
But do they seem like a little more at ease and like getting back into the bar spirit?
You see, yeah, as you tell your story, they have that little bit of a chuckle. Doing. Thane.
You cut off a
You
little
broke
bit
up for
there.
a sec.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's okay. Uh-oh.
Help my internet. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Maybe are we doing better?
Yeah,
You guys
you're
hear
good.
me?
You're good.
now.
Yes.
Okay, it's my magic. All right. Yeah, they sort of gave that little bit of a chuckle, but it's to loosen one of them up enough that he's able to sort of glance over his shoulder and see what Thane is doing.
Oh, Will. I swear if you were scared him any more, then Susan would have to bring a mop out of the back.
They got
Well, it
free
was so
drinks.
important you had to take
I'd
my
be happy.
drink.
Careful you're not making more work.
Thane, you've counted slightly less than about 20 people, including yourselves, in this establishment.
He'll walk back over to the table with the cards. How much coin is left on Jin's side?
All of it. And you just lost. We had a bet going whether you'd come back or not.
He grabs a couple of the silver,
Hey! All right.
hands it over
fine.
to Susan. Get the other card player another drink, please. On
It's
Jin.
not like I was going to use that. All right.
She quickly grabs the coin up and sweeps it into a pocket in her skirt and, gives Thane a wink as she heads over to, take that order.
Can I, Sam, can I actually try and throw a coin and land it in Susan's pocket as she's walking away?
Yes.
Do I need to roll for that, or can I just use my my flying blade feature, my class
Well, I think that
ability?
says it's particularly for cards and
Forbury is cards. Flying blade says, hang on, it's actually not in.
I would say, like, athletics would be, like,
athletics or
either.
performance. Flying blade.
I would say it's a ranged attack. Dexterity, maybe.
You know what? Let's see here. Let's go with an athletics check on that.
Okay. Not my best, but I'm going to give it a
What
shot.
about acrobatics?
Or an acrobatics, yeah.
Would acrobatics work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acrobatics
All
or
right, roll.
athletics.
Especially if you're doing some sort of, like, trick with it.
26.
Yeah, describe this.
He kind of kicks back in his chair, so he's back on the two legs, and there's like a coin sitting at the edge of the table, and he swings down, and it flips onto his hand, and he like flicks up, and almost like he's throwing a knife or a card or something like that. He at the very last second calls out, "Hey, Suze, you forgot one!" and throws it like halfway across the room, and it actually,
Yeah, like, as it
Jen,
as she
stop me if-
turns slightly.
as she
Yeah.
turns, it goes into her cleavage.
Well, that's quite the trick.
I've been practicing that one for weeks.
Normally I'd be a little upset, but right now I'm not even mad. That was impressive. This is your one.
I'm wearing you down. I'm wearing you down.
Only 99 some odd layers to go. And she'd give him a wink over her shoulder too as she goes to fill up the
She
other
loves
thing.
me. I'm telling you, she loves me.
How is Sal doing right now?
Yeah. So Sal is sort of back in the kitchen. Roll perception for me.
Okay. Ugh. That's no good.
Yeah. She again is just sort of stirring the pot of stew that never seems to come off of the stovetop. It's always there, always simmering. It just sort of always has things added to it as it grows. You know, some bowls go out. She just keeps adding to it. It adds to the flavor of it, right?
Like a traditional eternal stew.
Yeah, it's very much an eternal stew. You've never seen this pot get cleaned. You've never seen the bottom get scraped of it. It is always there. And she's currently teetering on the little stool that she carries around the kitchen with her, just stirring this pot. Just very much focused on that.
You doing okay over here, Sal? Was a bit of a near thing when some guys tried to leave.
But we'll stop them, right?
Yeah. They're a bit shook up about it, though. We're gonna be scaring all our customers. Like, you changing your business plan here?
Oh, same plan. You know, I just got some bread out of the oven. Take one to Mr. Thane and his friends, and the two gents.
Okay,
The whole
Sal.
loaf. The whole loaf.
Okay, Sal. I'm on it. And she just kind of like, does that thing where she grabs the loaf, but like keeps the like that side eye on Sal the whole time. All right, Sal, I'm gonna go over there now.
Are you just going to tell me everything that you're doing, or are you going to do it?
Hey, why are you sassing me?
Susan, she just keeps stirring
I'm
the pot.
going already.
You got to keep them happy. Everyone needs to be
And
happy
happy.
tonight.
Okay, I'm telling my best stories. They got it.
Okay, you make sure. Happy. Smiling
Yeah, smiles
faces.
all around. It's okay.
Stirring the pot.
She grabs the loaf in an arm and then, grabs the mug of pints in the others and, walks back over to the card players. All right, once again, compliments to Sal. Help yourself to just fresh right out of the oven.
Yeah, you can still see the steam wafting off of the bread. I believe you are muted.
Do leave some for
James.
the rest of us this time, eh, Will?
Why?
Sharing's important.
Sharing
You
is
need to eat
caring,
too.
Will.
Hmm.
Oh,
We're
how'd
gonna
you
get
like
you
the pie,
friends
sweetheart?
yet, no lad.
She looks at Al with just like, how'd you like the pie, sweetheart?
It was good. I was happy to not find any other things in it, but it was good.
Hey, it's a coconut cream pie. Like, there's no other additive things in it. Again, all that cream is locally sourced. It's good, real good. It's just the stew you gotta ask some questions about, but don't, but like,
What about the bread?
ah,
Is that like the pie or like the stew?
the bread. Oh, Madon. Uh, if angels could come from the celestial realm and bake a delicious pastry to deliver into your hands, the only thing you gotta fear with Sal's bread is having it go directly to your ass.
We're running out. As Jin is like shoving pieces into his mouth. Or running out. And he's like taking he has managed to wrestle a piece of bread from Will and is like cleaning out his bowl from earlier with the heel of the bread.
Then I will grab some as well with that sort of description.
I imagine that.
Hang on, I'll distract him for you for a second. Hey, Will, over here.
Well, it's a thing more where I think that from the fold of her skirt, like she pulls out like a little dirk and just stabs it before anybody else can grab it anymore and tears off a chunk to hand over to Elle. Here you go, sweetie.
Thank you.
You enjoy that, right? Nice. Picks it up, flips it around, puts it back.
What else you got hidden in there?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, that's why I asked.
A gentleman
Wait, now
never
I'm doing your
asks.
accent. Shit.
Elle, it's been a while since you've had this sort of like lively conversation around you that you've, been involved in. You've sort of just been a drifter for a while. It's kind of comforting in a way, but there's still that nagging feeling in the back of your head that something's wrong, something's coming. Like maybe you're not supposed to be here, not supposed to be happy here. But maybe you just need another drink and some more bread.
I think so. Yeah, I'm quite good at pushing that feeling down, and things seem good right now, and it's good enough. I'm enjoying this card game, even if Jin is cheating. And the bread is good.
Don't
That's always
cheat.
a plus.
Why does everybody?
Susan, another pint.
I don't cheat at cards or on women.
Oh, really?
Or men.
Then why did Chandra come over here in tears? She was pulling her hair out of Katya.
That
That
had
poor
not
girl
to do
still
with
has
me.
a little bald patch right here.
That was between the two of them. Had not to do with me.
I'm sure
I
somebody
will
believes
swear
that,
to my
sweetheart.
grave that had nothing to do with me.
That's the only thing more dangerous than cheating at cards. Come on, stop stalling. Another hand.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah, especially
Well,
since
hey,
Katya's
fine,
one
you-
of them
fine.
followers of
You think-
Callistria, so, next thing you know, he's gonna show up here all lumpy in all the wrong places. And you're gonna see. That's what happens. You don't mess with those Callistrian girls.
Fine. You don't. You think I'm cheating? Here, take it. And he hands the deck of cards. It's your deal. Go for it.
Fine, I will.
They tingle a little bit as you shuffle them.
Huh.
Susan grabs, another round for Thane, and then would hand a fresh round to the two that were intimidated. She would also try to because Whisper Elves have extended hearing. So do I hear anything through the shutters on the outside, just kind of slightly going closer to them as she's rounding by their table?
Yeah. As you sort of pause to listen at the shutters, there's that sound of light rain hitting the panes, as well as you could hear further off the roar of the surf against the sea. But there's other sounds that sort of send these tingles down your spine, the little hairs on the back of your neck standing on end. You already know what's happening outside, but it's not something that you want to think about.
I do.
Yeah. It's something that you're just trying to ignore because otherwise it would just be too much to handle.
Okay. In that case, then, she would round on all the other tables and make sure to, perk each one up with, lively stories and body jokes and, all those sorts of things to just keep the mood up.
When Susan brings the pints over to Will, he just sort of leans in. From here on out, add the whiskey to my pints.
You gonna be able to walk like that?
I should be all right for most of the night.
Each their own, Mr. Thane. You got it.
Where's Sal?
Unless they saw she was in the kitchen. You need her?
Yes.
She's still in the kitchen.
Yeah, so Susan would grab the bottle of whiskey off the shelf as she ducks into the kitchen, takes a swig of it herself, looks at Sal like, Mr. Thane is asking for you.
Then you tell him to come back here. I'm busy.
I see that. But I ain't someone to tell another about how to do their art. But like, you can't. Like, is leaving it for a second real gonna make a difference, or?
She just looks at the pot for a moment. Slowly, the vigor at which she was stirring, the speed decreases until she lets the wooden spoon just like clink against the pot. Yep. You're right. It'll be fine. I'll just turn it down a little bit. Yep. And she hops down off of the stool and rubs her hands on her apron. Yep. All right, let's go.
Hey, you want some? She hands out a bottle of whiskey. Just, a little bit of liquid courage.
That's why I keep you around, Susan. And she'll take one and just take a super long swig off of it, only the way a halfling is able to, before passing it back. And with a little bit more skip in her step, she walks out and over to the card table.
Will was at the bar, as a point of note.
Oh, at the bar. Perfect.
Yeah.
To the bar, then.
Susan grabs the mug.
So he'll lean against the bar. Look at Sal. What's going on, Sal?
She hops up onto the stool, her legs just dangling as she kicks them back and forth, just looking out at the bar. Everything, that she's always been here, always been at the tavern at the end of the road. For as long as anyone can remember, she's just been a fixture at this place. Mr. Thane, I just want everyone to be happy tonight.
I would say most people are pretty happy at the end of the road. The question is, what are you afraid of?
She's quiet for a moment. A long time, that sort of chattering, that silent hum of constant noise, just sort of. And she'll look up at you, really having to crane her neck. Mr. Thane, if the people leave here tonight, they go out into the streets, then the illusion that I've made on this place will break. If they are in here, then they are safe. You have to understand that.
Illusion? What illusion, Sal?
That everything's fine.
What's going on out there, Sal?
Thane, I think you already know what's going on out there. I don't think
His
you want to
knuckles go
face it.
white. His breathing gets real heavy. And for a few moments, the swords are sort of teeter-totters against the wall, all on its own.
Susan would
He drinks his
very
pint
quiet.
and
Yeah,
He drinks his pint in its
Very-
entirety. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
Susan's like, just very quietly slides the pint over as she like watches that all happen, and then very quickly starts refilling it.
So you know they need to stay in here.
Like you asked. Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah. I love, Stu. He moves the pint aside. There's that whiskey.
Susan, you bring that bottle over here and you leave it.
Right.
Susan walks over. She can see Will trembling, and it's not a fear. It's more of like a adrenaline. Sort of, his muscles are just twitching, and his body's kind of shaking a bit. But he's just staring at the middle space on the bar, just drilling into the wood on the bar with his stare.
She as she sets the whiskey down, like she would very lightly put her hand on his knuckles, just to sort of try to calm
He
the
recoils
shaking
completely.
down.
Just grabs the
You
whiskey.
okay?
He recoils. His hands go into a fist, and then he just stops and stares at her. And it is not the Will she knows. There's something else there. And he just stares, grabs the whiskey, puts his hand down, and just gulps before putting the bottle back down.
Her eyes
you,
go
Susan.
wide. I'm sorry, Mr. Thane. I just wanted to help.
Go keep the people happy, Susan. Everything's fine.
Are you sure, Mr.
Everything's fine.
Thane? You don't look so good.
Everything will be all right, Susan. Everything's always all
Okay.
right here.
Okay. It's another one of them things I don't ask questions about.
Let's have another good night, Susan. I'll be right here.
Okay. Uneasily, she goes to check on the other tables. But by the time she leaves the bar area, like the smile is back on her face, and everything seems fine.
You'll notice one of the patrons, there's a little a sway in his step. He's not quite able to walk straight. Has headed over to the card table. He leans against it, sort of cocks his head, looking at Elle. You look really familiar. Hey,
I doubt it.
I feel like I've seen you before on a ship somewhere.
Been on a few ships here and there.
He sort of leans in closer, and you could smell the alcohol on his breath. He's sort of blinking his eyes to get you more into focus. Blinking a little bit, wrinkling his nose. No. I've seen you before somewhere. Did you have a thing with Captain. What was that captain's name? Sort of tapping his chin. I know you from somewhere. Help jog my memory. What's some of the captains you've had?
Her face goes a little bit dark at that.
Susan heads over, drinks in hand, and sort of puts an arm on like the swaying person, like, "How's it going, buddy? Everything okay over here?" And she like says that with like an eye at Elle and that look of like, "You need help?" Like,
You see here, Susan, I know this
Mhm.
gal. I've seen her on a ship before. I'm just
maybe
it's in my
she
head.
just is one of them faces, Charles. You ever think about that? Now, come on. We're gonna sit you down over here. You know your wife don't like it when you're looking at the pretty girls.
This isn't one of those
Oh,
times,
thank you,
Susan. I promise.
It might be one of those times too.
It's-
If she come in here, believe me.
It's on the tip of my tongue. And he's you could literally see the cogs working in his head as he tries to work through that fog, that phase. He snaps his finger.
How about we get some of Sal's bowl of brown on that tongue instead? That'd be way better than whatever you're chewing on.
No, it's right there. And his face goes a little bit clearer. Captain Rhaenys, you were on that ship with her. You guys were quite close, if I remember. You guys were quite close.
Jin
Do I
has picked up
recognize him?
considerably at this conversation.
You do know that person. It's sort of one of those names that immediately you feel that pit in your stomach.
Sorry, the
This is a
person
name.
asking.
You know, he does look familiar to you. Just one of those mini crewmates that you've had a long time ago, but you were on that ship for a while. And you get that sickening feeling that this person was on that ship too, and that they just so happened to be in the same place at the same time.
I sailed with her for a while, yeah. Now I'm seeing what else the world has to offer.
But there's something else there. I just know it.
Come on now, why you gotta be poking in other people's business?
Charlie, you got two choices. You can either sit down and play, or you can leave my friend alone. Which is it going to be?
He sits down.
Annie up. And Elle, deal this man a hand of cards. I completely lost my accent. I don't know where it went.
I will deal the cards. And in an attempt to drive people away, I'm going to throw a gold piece down.
Now we're talking.
He's looking at that gold piece. It seems to almost jog something in his memory.
Susan eyes the gold piece like, so remember to tip your lovely waitresses too, you know?
Bend over a little
She
farther
gives,
and I'll get it in there again if you like.
I
I'll leave
told
her
you, you
alone.
had
Sorry.
your one. We don't run that
got
kind
one.
of joint here.
I'll pass
That's
Susan
more
2 gold
like
pieces.
Lacey's down the street.
Yeah, but they water down their whiskey.
Yeah. not really the whiskey you go there for, man.
Not much else you'd go there for either. Jin is definitely
I
looking
heard
like
they
he's
have
had a couple
really
too
good
many
hot wings.
cups. Right. The wings. That's
Mhm.
why we go. It's the wings. Right? Isn't that right, Will? Where'd Will go?
Mhm.
Yeah, the
Will is
gentleman Charles at the
hunkered
table.
over his. No, Will is hunkered over his spot at the bar. There's a bottle sort of peeking out over his, in between the crook of his elbow.
Will, are you playing or not? We're gonna deal
He
Charlie in if you want to come take him for all he's worth again.
stands up, turns. Are you going to cheat again?
I never cheat on cards or women. I've said it before.
And I'm dealing this time, Will.
Right.
Ah,
So it's Al we got to worry about.
Elle is your name, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And she's an hell of a card shark. Oh, right. That was bad even for me.
Okay, take your cards.
No.
He'll go and sit down at the table again, putting the bottle of whiskey there, taking a quick swig before finally sitting down.
Charles' eyes are
How's
still
the road been?
on that
Oh,
gold coin.
What?
He's like tapping his fingers on the table.
Oh, right.
No, I
You in or out?
I match.
remember. Yeah,
Heavy gold coin
yeah.
clinks down out of apparently nowhere from Jin's general direction.
Out of a pouch, a little bit hesitantly, Charles will also plop a gold coin down. His hand seems to not want to let it go, but he's in.
Don't bet what you
Like
can't afford to
Susan.
lose, Charlie.
Yeah, Susan looks at the
Will will
coin like,
slide. Yeah, Will slide the coin back. As I recall, Charlie, your wife may in fact murder you.
yeah. Susan slowly
Yeah, but
takes
that's
the
half the
coin like from the table, and you got a rather large tab.
You know, pretty sure I would have more coin in my pocket if it wasn't for that one. He's looking at
Which
Elle.
one? Oh, I thought they were talking about me again.
Nah,
Sounds to me you're
Jim, not
just bad at
everything's
cards,
about
according
you.
to Jin.
Lies!
Huh.
Filthy lies! You take that back, Charlie. Everything's about me.
And
I
here
think
I
you're
was
right.
thinking that
Don't
you was
know
all about
how.
me.
Well,
No.
I'm all about
Oh,
you.
to the
love.
right of it. Chuck here is confusing people up, I think.
No,
Elle
no,
just
no,
thought
no,
Sorry,
no.
I think I've had a bit too much to drink.
Mr. Thane, I know this gal. We were on a ship together. And
I was on a ship with a lot of people.
yeah, this one was important. This is an important one.
Oh, shit.
You had
When was the
something with
last
that
time you were on
captain.
a ship?
Nah, it's couple weeks.
You sure about
How
But
that?
that's-
long ago?
Maybe more. Well, that's not why I'm here. I know her face.
No, you're here to have a drink.
And play some
Play
cards.
some
That's why we
And
cards.
all
enjoy the
come here.
company.
Have some good bread, reasonable stew, and a fine ale. Whiskey ain't bad either. So why don't you pick one of those, and we'll have a drink.
Have you got any
Yeah,
sixes? Go fish. Ah. Sorry, fish a joke. It's
No, it's quite good.
Or you can keep poking something and see what happens.
he takes another drink and then just stands wobbly. Doesn't look like he's going to be on his feet much longer. When I remember what you did, Elle, I'll be coming back over here. There is something with that captain. No, I bet if I let her know where you're at, he taps the side of his head. Maybe that'll get me some coin.
something tells me that wouldn't be very good for your health, Charlie.
They were together. Wouldn't you want to know who you were together with and where they're at?
Does your wife want to know where you are every night?
Maybe.
Well, Charlie seems like we're at a stalemate then.
When you remember why you're angry, Charlie, and you come back, make sure you bring your auntie with you.
Jen,
Maybe you can borrow it from your friends. Oh, that's right, you haven't got any. I forgot that part.
Hey now,
Sort
we're
of-
all friends here at the end of the road, okay?
His
Oh,
shoulders
that's
sag
right.
a little bit. That courage from all the drink he's had just sort of dissipating a little bit, but he looks over at Jen. He's like, "You're going to get stabbed before this night is through."
There's
Me?
no one stabbing anyone in this here
It
bar, okay? Because again,
Only one
it's
around
a
here is
real
allowed to
pain
stab
in
me
the
is
ass to
Suze.
get those blood out of them floorboards.
Don't threaten me with a good
didn't-
time, lad.
I didn't say it was going to be me. I'm just the way you are. He's starting
Are
to
you
walk
a
away.
prophet now, Charlie? Because if you is, then, maybe you go prophesizing your way into some more coin. You got that tab.
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the last.
No. I'm gonna go home now. Guess gonna
Just
go
have
home.
another drink,
Something.
Charlie.
Now, we're gonna get you sobered up some, because remember the last time you goes home smelling like a fish, your wife ended up kicking you out, and it's raining outside. You don't want to sleep in the sky again. Come on, I'll get you over here.
I don't
We'll fix
understand
you
what's
up with
wrong
a
with
bowl of
smelling
brown,
like a
okay?
fish.
It'll warm you right up. I'm
Nothing
using
wrong with smelling
persuasion.
like fish.
Go ahead
It's a
and roll
matter
that.
of personal preference, I think. Never minded the
Uh,
smell of fish myself, if you know what I mean.
or do you want
you know.
diplomacy? Because I forgot persuasion is D&D.
Oh yeah, roll diplomacy. I knew what you meant.
Yes.
Well, you're right.
So,
I don't want to make the
It's been a-
missus any more mad.
no. She gently puts an arm around him and rubs his back a little bit, like, don't worry, I got you. I know, I'm always looking out for you, okay?
Out of curiosity, what was Elle's reaction throughout all of this? What was the vibe?
Very on edge. She stiffened up, face went very dark, and watching him walk away, she pushes back in her chair. I need some air, and gets up and starts heading towards the door.
Oh, have some whiskey
Wait,
first.
but you're the dealer. Like,
I'll be back. I just need a few minutes.
Buddy.
I just toss his
I
cards in
will
his
stand
lap.
up Whiskey always comes first. Far better than air, I can assure you.
Is Will
Tempted to
stopping
like
her?
peek at her hand.
He's getting ahead of her,
As
yeah.
She gets up and walks away.
You're gonna miss my compelling story.
I'll be back. I'm
And you know
staying
what?
here.
Well, no, because again, if you miss out, I'll be really real sad.
Oh, don't make my Sue sad. That's not nice.
I really want
Look
you
at that
to hear my
face.
story.
And Jen like reaches up and like does this
Fine.
smushy face with Susan. Look at that face. How you say no to that face?
Fine. I'll sit back down in my chair.
Right.
Give
Prepare to
Will.
lose all your money.
I don't.
But
Can I
yeah.
sense motive on Will?
Yeah.
Yes. Perception in
That will-
Pathfinder too.
So perception against his deception?
Well, he's not really trying to deceive. It would be like his charisma DC plus whatever you want to add to it. He's not actually trying to deceive anything, so it'd probably just be like a DC 10.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll a perception check.
Sorry, it's actually not rolling for me.
It's okay. I can roll it for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see if I can reveal this real quick.
I'm presuming that was a critical, probably.
It was a critical.
Oh,
You read him like a
all
book.
right. Like a book.
I don't know if you can see that.
That's rude. Some of us can't read.
All right. So,
Jin.
let me ask you just a plain question. What was she trying to figure out at that moment?
What? He seemed to be trying awfully hard to keep me from going, like standing up in front of me, being very forceful about trying to get me to drink instead. So,
Yep. It was extremely purposeful. It is very clear he did not want you to leave. No bones about it. As a side note, because it's critical, he is a very, very sad and depressed individual.
got more out of that than I expected.
There is a pain somewhere in there, and it's kind of creepy.
I'm going to do another performance check because I want to try to keep everybody at the table engaged with the story that I'm going to tell. So hopefully that's decent enough. And she's just like, you know, sort of like takes over like a quarter of the table for story mode, and there's gestures and accents and all the things of just like, okay. A sailor and a pirate are in a bar recounting their adventures at sea. Seeing the pirate's peg leg, hook, and eye patch, the sailor asks, "Sir, how'd you end up with the peg leg?" Pirate replies, "We was caught in a huge storm and a giant wave swept me overboard. Just as my crew was pulling me out, a school of sharks appeared and one of them bit my leg off." "Blimey," says the sailor, "and how'd you get the hook?" "Arr," he said, "I got into a fight over a woman in a bar and my hand got chopped off." "Blimey," remarks the sailor, "how about the eye patch?" "Oh, that." Pirate looks embarrassed. "A seagull dropping fell into me eye. You lost your eye to a seagull dropping? Well, said the old sea dog, it was my first day with the hook.
Ah.
I will slide a gold piece across the table to Susan.
Never gets old. Never gets old, that one.
We'll have another drink from the whiskey bottle.
Yeah, from that.
What's
Yes,
a
yes,
pirate's
yes.
favorite letter? Suze, what's a pirate's favorite letter? You'd think that, wouldn't you? But me first love be the sea.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
the Bard's College in Kyonin, they're gonna love you.
Nah. That's too
But
far
yeah,
to walk.
you know that they are trying to keep you here. As you sit back down in your seat slowly. So it's really what you want
Come
to
on, let me take your money.
do.
How are we situated
off.
at the
Something.
table? How are we
I think you
situated
got
at the
choppy
table?
there for a second, Sam.
Oh, sorry, guys. Regular table, just very roughly hewn. You could see all of the, various places where people have stabbed knives into it, playing games and whatnot. The stains that, as much as Susan's tried to clean up, aren't able to. So you're just sort of, in this circle around it. I'm guessing Will, is at one corner where he could see most of the room. Jen just sort of at the head of the table, an empty chair, and then yourself, Elle. So to the room you want to be, you can describe that.
Yeah. So being a little put off by this, I'm now very curious why they don't want me to leave, and seeing will stop the people earlier as well. I think I'm going to kind of leap around the table, keeping the table between Will and I. And head for the door quickly. Some kind of acrobatics move, maybe.
Yeah, give me an acrobatics roll so you're leaping over the table.
Yeah, sure.
Let me know
Keeping
if
kind of the
Bill's
table and that
in
in
time.
between Will and I.
Here, I can actually put you guys on the tracker. Sorry. We have a map.
Oh, fine.
Susan. Will, so you guys should be able to move yourselves.
Yep.
Where you think you
Am
would
I
be.
clicking the wrong thing in Fantasy Grounds? Where should I be clicking for a skill?
Let's see here with your red. Let's see, sorry. Skill acrobatics. Yep, so you're just going to Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if Will sees this in time, just let me know.
Yeah, you just grab the number and you throw it into the onto the board. Like the plus 13 that you have. I don't know if I just did. Okay. Perfect. We'll roll a reflex.
Let's see.
I would like to save my beer.
Yep.
It was just getting good.
You were definitely able to acrobat your way over the table. You sort of look like you're about to sit down and then sort of leap over, spilling Jen's drink all over his lap, by the way.
What?
Get you another one.
Before, again, continuing on the door. But Will moves with this speed that is almost alarming and offsetting. You've never seen him move as fast, and wouldn't think that someone this large would be able to, especially with how many drinks he's had. But Will, you are able to catch her as she acrobats over the table with that reflex save.
He does not attempt to put a hand on Elle, and simply moves to guard the door specifically, and just puts a hand in front of him to stop her. No, Miss Elle, please have a seat.
Why are you so determined to keep us from going out there?
We're all just happy here at the end of the road. Have a drink, have a stew, maybe have some bread. Enjoy the fire, enjoy the music. Everything will be fine by morning.
Yeah, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
I'll sit down if you tell me why I can't go out there.
His left hand kind of trembles and clenches. It's a dark night outside. And this is the end of the road. You never quite know what's going on out there. If you would be so kind, Miss Elle, to just have a seat and enjoy some cards with our little thief over there, Jane.
I'll stare at him for a few seconds.
There's a wild calm in his eyes. Thank you for your kindness.
I'll go back and sit down with Jen. Don't you think it's strange they're not letting us leave?
Well, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
And
Who's not letting
who
who
have in
leave?
your hand?
All of them, I think. I've lost track completely, actually. And since you got up anyway, it's just not fair. We should redeal. These are no good. And he tosses his hand on the table. It's like all aces, basically.
Not cheating, though. Don't worry.
No, there's only
I don't
4.
know.
He's got one of each. It's not like he's got doubles.
Will's not letting
This
any
time.
of us leave.
Will! Come here, mate.
What? Why?
Why are we not allowed to leave?
Are you earning coin?
I'm fine. you know me.
Why
I
would you
don't
leave?
want to go home anyway. But apparently, there's a rumor, a nasty rumor going around that you're not letting anybody out that door. So I thought I'd ask, rather than beat around the bush for a half an hour. What's the deal? Why can't we go outside?
He tilts his. He
Why
just
are all the
tilts his
windows
gaze up
closed?
to. He tilts his gaze over to Al. It's a dark night outside. You never know what might be poking about near the end of the road.
Zeus! Zeus!
Muted.
Zeus!
What is it?
Will's gone all cryptic like. Not answering my question, so I thought I'd ask you because you tend to be a little bit more eloquent, more of a cunning linguist, as it were. Why can't we leave?
There's a real nasty squall going on outside. I can hear it from here. Like, can't you hear it, like, pelting the windows? It's like, rat-a-tat-tat, real bad. We wouldn't want anybody
that's funny.
getting hurt.
I got this trick pinky finger that gets all achy like whenever there's a squall in town, and it feels just fine right now. I'm kidding. I don't hear a thing. Then again, I'm about 6 cups too deep in me cups. So I'll just take your word for it. See? What? Me?
Didn't you say there was another bar, another tavern?
I wouldn't.
It's
really
not
call
really
it a
so much
tavern.
of a... Yeah.
It's more,
You know,
it's more just a hole in the wall with a few holes in the wall, if you know what I mean.
What was it called?
They are working professionals, independent business people, making their way from a perfectly legitimate trade.
Suze, no, I mean literally the holes in the wall in the gents' room. Maybe you don't know about that part. Never mind. And we're going to deal another hand. All right.
What was the name of that place?
Lacey's down the
Don't
road.
remember,
Why?
never been.
Lacey's. Feeling very on edge now. I'm going to just suddenly shout out to the bar. Hey, they're serving free drinks at Lacey's for the next 20 minutes.
That's a bald-faced lie, and you lads know it.
Ain't nothing free at Lacey's except the syphilis.
That'll cost you extra. It just takes a while to pay.
You know, this is a room full of hard-working sailors, dock people, just, you know, if there's a free drink, they're standing, they're going to go get that free drink.
Will was already headed towards the door.
I cast enthrall, so
I just sit back in my chair and watch.
As Susan begins to sing, everybody should take a will save to be encaptured by her performance.
A will save. Coming right up. Please let me get a 1. A 12. I fail gloriously.
Oh, that was the wrong one. Never mind. I derped. Well, bonus is the same.
Whew. Jen appears to have even more cards in his hand now.
So, like Susan sees the sailors get up, and then she quickly gets up herself and stands on a table with his eyes stay closed, and his last breath spoke. He had seen all to be seen, a life once full, now an empty vase, wilt the blossoms on his early grave.
Jin starts singing along badly, very badly.
Can we get that rendition there, Jen?
No, because I don't know the words, and I sing anything she wants.
Walk away, me boy. Walk away, me boy.
Away.
And my morning will will be free.
In the morning, I
Wipe the
raise my
golden
cup to
tear
thee.
from your mother dear, and waste what's left of the flag for me.
Right, what she said. But Jin is
I'm presuming
completely enthralled by Susan
what
right
was the
now. He's
DC
just
for
like
the
big
enthrall?
doe eyes and
Let's see.
What is my... I don't know where it says what my spell stuff is.
Oh, that's fine. It's not. I suspect that 29 would probably be a safe
Yeah,
save.
probably.
walk away.
As Susan is singing, Will is just walking over to where his blade is, grabbing the pommel and just dragging it along the groove over to the door.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, I don't know.
Gimme boys.
I thought I had added all your spells, so I am sorry.
I just don't know what my what the DC is that they need to pass to make it. But this also includes like it's everybody who can hear her has to make a will save. And she is singing the whole song to keep everybody like here and enthralled.
What level is the spell?
It is level 3.
Level 3. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm guessing the DC is around 20.
Yeah. Yeah. So about, we're going to treat this like a troop. Half of the crowd begins to, instead of towards the door, move towards Susan, you know, and completely enthralled by what she's doing. You'll notice that Sal does not come out of the kitchen. She's still back wherever she's at. But the other probably about 8 individuals are still heading towards the door, just chanting, not as loud as Susan's singing, but loud enough that it sort of creates this cacophony of conflicting sounds as they're just like, you know, like drinks, 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 and they're like heading to Lacey's. But then there's this big
There's this large man who's sort of swaggering and leaning his large body against the door. While the crowd was sort of working its way through, the blade was pushed into the wood of the floor to jam the door itself. Given the size of the blade and the fact that it's now been turned to adamantine, it should be fairly difficult to move. But he is leaning up against the door as a large drunk bastard.
Let's see here.
Count them 1, 2, 3, fell apart as they hit the floor. In the garb of black, we must pay respect to the color we're born to mourn.
With the two of them busy
you're also
heading for the window.
Yeah, give me. It's a will save, right? I don't think you rolled that, did you, Elle?
Yeah, roll this. It was a 25 total. I don't. Well, it's not on there.
Oh, okay.
I can roll it again. I don't know why it's not on there.
It might not have rolled into the you might have rolled it on the thing and not onto the other thing.
Well, that's significantly worse.
Dang. You do have a hero point. If you would like to re-roll it.
Yeah.
I did not add your guys' hero points. Everyone has a hero point.
Oof.
There you go. So you are not enthralled by this song. Just Jen and a large portion of.
I think Jin might be
There's
more
no
enthralled
chance
with
for him.
just Susan than
Yeah, she's really giving
the
it her
song
all.
specifically.
Like skirts are whirling and everything, and she's singing and dancing on this table.
And Jin is right there, like clapping along with her, you know.
Yeah.
He is there. Now,
Is there an instrument of some kind that he can try poorly to play along with her?
Yeah, her, like, he would probably know that, like, she keeps, like, her loot, like, behind the bar or something like that, like, because she's busted it out a couple of times. But, you know, I also imagine just, like, taking, like, a bar stool and making it into a drum isn't the worst idea either for an impromptu thing.
Oh, he's definitely
that's
doing
very
that.
true.
I don't think he would touch her loot without permission.
Aww.
Hey. Yes.
Her loot
So,
or her booty? No.
I heard someone was going for a window.
yes. So, Elle, you are going towards the window, correct?
Yes, with the two of them distracted, I'm going to wait a second and then just dash for the window.
Perfect. We will get back to that in just a moment. Well,
That's always a good sign.
yeah, isn't it? Well, there's this group of about 8 individuals in front of you, and the larger of them, such as this half-orcish woman. You don't remember anyone's name, so it's not important to you, but now, Mr. Thane, we are going towards Lacey, so we'd appreciate it if you just stepped out of the way.
Or you could have a drink here on me. You know the ale's better. Just add it to my tab.
Diplomacy or intimidate?
Either works.
Let's see if you're trying to scare this crowd shitless or ask them nicely to go back to their chairs.
He's trying nicely first.
Stick to the creator of blessing in nature.
It just seems like words coming from you just don't sound very nice, no matter how sugar-coated you try to say them. They're not budging on this. So they walk a couple steps closer to you. Now, you know, there's other delights at Lacey's too. We know the ale's
come
not quite as
tomorrow.
good, but
And come tomorrow, you can enjoy them, to be sure. This evening, however, have a drink. Have some stew. It's dark outside. And there are things that go bump in that night.
are you trying to intimidate now?
Yeah, I guess he is. Yeah.
Because at this moment, there's just sort of this chuckle that goes through the crowd. Just like, that's just Thane. He's had too much to drink. I think you're the one that needs to sit down. Go ahead.
Could be better, could be worse. It seems like
They look
people
a-
have forgotten the Thanes. He grabs at his sword, sort of wrenching it from the ground. I am William Thane, last in the line of Thanes. Generations we hunted monsters. I sought to end that tradition. Allow me to do so by staying here.
The crowd sort of that vigor, that rapture that they had just a moment ago, that party sort of thing, it dies down, seeing Will pick up his weapon, touch the hilt. Why don't you give me a save?
What save?
Yeah, a will save. A will save Will.
Okay. Oh, hey, look at that.
It's a good one. Well, behind you, you hear a sort of thump against the door. It pushes inward just a little bit, sort of a soft sound. It could have just been something in the wind blowing against the door, knocking something. For the briefest of seconds, you feel that panic settle in, but you're quite easily able to shake that off, to just push it back down. It's fine. Right now.
So for what it's worth, so anyone nearby, there's just a clear, every muscle in William's body tenses. And for I guess some history's sake, no one has ever really seen him lift the blade. He's always just sort of drug it around. It is gigantic, even in comparison to him. And he still isn't lifting it yet. Susan.
She does a dramatic bow at the end of her song, and just sort of looks over at Thane and sort of does a double take of yeah, Mr. Thane?
Tell Sal I won't be able to keep my end of the bargain. But I guarantee no one else will leave here.
What do you mean, Mr. Thane?
There are monsters at the night, and a Thane has a duty to keep. If you'll excuse me. It's been a pleasure, Susan. Stay safe.
But you don't gotta go out there.
Somebody has to make everything fine at the end of the road. My time here is done.
No, Mr. Thane. It's fine because you're in here. And if you go out there, it might not be fine no more.
He looks at the crowd in front of him. Go sit down. Enjoy your meals. Sing your songs. Eat your bread and drink the ale. Everything will be fine.
As your eyes scan the room for just a moment, Elle, you are trying to... The windows are shuttered, closed. So while all this is happening, you're trying to force one open, right?
Yes.
is it just, have you gone for the closest window, or have you sort of gone back and like picked a particular one that's more out of the way? Which window would you have chosen?
Whichever one is furthest from both Will and Susan at this point. So just kind of quickly judging that distance and going for it.
Yeah, so back by the hearth with the fireplace that is cold, there is a window that you kind of make this beeline to the back corner of the tavern.
Do we see this?
So this is happening while you and
Okay.
Will are talking.
Okay.
Yay, parallel
Just sort of
action.
slip past. Yep. How are you going to try and open this window? You sort of give it that brief sort of shake, and you can tell that it's locked. No keyhole of any type that you can see. You're not sure if it's been magically closed and locked, or exactly how it is set this way.
How does it look like it normally opens? Does it normally open in the middle, or?
Yeah, normally in the middle, and it would open into the room.
Can I take a knife and kind of jam it in there and try and pry it?
Yeah. Just give me a flat strength check.
You're like,
It's hard for your dagger to find purchase within this sort of slit within the shutters of the window. You're trying to wedge it in there, and you're just not able to find a place where you're able to pry it. But you kind of look around, and feels like you might be running out of time. The walls just seem to be that feeling of claustrophobia just overtaking you. You've been in this stuffy room for too long. You've been in one place for too long, and that feeling of I need to get out of here just sort of settles within your chest. Go ahead and try the strength check again, or you can attempt another way.
You said it opens inward, right? So I wouldn't be able to like throw my shoulder against it.
No. You could still hear the voice of Susan singing Thane against the crowd, saying words to them. It's all just sort of muddling together into this noise that is just too loud, too much happening. Let's see over here. Yeah, as you're, you continue to wiggle your knife in, you're finally able to begin to crack that shutter open. It inches slowly towards you. But you hear a voice behind you. You shouldn't be going out there.
I'll turn around and look.
It's Sal, this halfling woman. You see sweat dripping down her face. She looks at you. Her eyes just wide. You open that, everything crumbles.
What do you mean?
You just look at her and you see that panic mounting. It's the end of the road. If you open that, it's done. Can't go out there. I'm trying to save you.
What are you trying to save me from? All I want are answers. I don't like being cooped up like this or lied to or kept here against my will. Why can I not go out there?
She takes a step towards you. Her hands up. Just listen. Listen to what's happening out there.
I'll listen.
Put your ear against the shutter. Again, it's that sort of sound of, at first, raindrops against the pane, and then the sound of the shore. But then you hear a scream, just piercing the night, a shrill sort of sound before it's suddenly cut short. This sort of gurgle as blood would have stopped it. And other sounds that you can't even describe. Dark, twisted sounds that just sort of cause this lump to fill your throat that you can't even swallow past. You've felt afraid before, but the sounds that you hear out there just make your blood run cold. Your brain can't even process it. It doesn't sound like it should be. And it's just something that as you continue to listen, as you continue to hear these sounds of screams being cut short, of these pleas, of these desperate cries, your brain is just yelling at you, screaming at you to stop, to just go do something that's comfortable, to get away from this. Because if you were to face this, then more.
I'll turn around and look back at Sal. What is that?
Have a drink. Eat the stew. Have some bread. You can't go out there.
We can't help them?
No. The only safe place is in here. As long you see her wipe the sweat from her brow. As long as we're able to keep this illusion up. As long as none of them go outside. Then they won't know that we're in here.
I'll just let out a sigh and slowly make my way back over to where Jin is sitting.
Jin now has his feet propped up on the table and is balancing an empty tankard on his forehead.
Let's go another hand. Come on.
Not until
We'll
I
have
get
her.
another
Yes.
drink.
Will is staring at the door.
Yeah, you could see that push against it and back, that light thumping sound. It's not It's not crazed. It's not anything that seems like it's trying hard to get in. It's just sort of this rhythmic tap, this rhythmic thump against the thick wood.
By the prickling of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Trial.
At this point, Susan has like walked over to the other part of the crowd where Will is, and she's just like eyeing the door and very quietly says to him, like, "You are what she said. If anyone breaks it, we're all in danger here. We need you in here."
It's knocking on the door.
I know, Mr. Thane.
As she's standing there, she sees something that no one has seen before, but there is a tattoo that is sort of slithering its way down his arm. It's this image of a dragon's tail. Sort of wraps itself down his arm and around his forearm.
I know what you want to do, Mr. Thane. But I really need you to not. Can you do that for me? For all of us?
Tend to your patrons, Susan. Nothing will get past this door.
And that includes you, right? Because you know, as soon as you go out there, I'm just going to go right there after you, okay? And I know that you wouldn't want me to get hurt.
Tell your stories, Susan. Bring some smiles to the faces here.
Not until you promise me.
His left hand just sort of grips at the blade. Tend to your patrons, Susan.
It's not a promise, Thane.
He doesn't say a word. He stares at the door.
Yeah, that thump, that rhythmic thumping. We're gonna move over to Jen.
Right.
Just sitting there at the table. That tankard balanced on his forehead. Not even
Quietly paying
attention
attention
to it.
to everything that's going on around him, yeah.
Do you want to guess it while looking at him that he's hearing everything? Jen, what's your plan?
Jin doesn't tend to have a plan. He's more reactionary. But he's got his attention split between what's going on with Susan and Will, in case he needs to step up. And like, if Will goes for the door to leave, Jin may decide to go be a fool and distract Will from what he's going to try and do. If Elle decides that she's not going to listen to Sal and tries to go out the window, then maybe there's a way that Jin could stop her. He's kind of in the middle of everything, paying attention to what's going on in both directions at the same time, going, all right, which one of these is going to need me first?
Yeah.
He actually...
Elle has just...
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when it becomes blatantly apparent that he's not going to get another drink. Oh, wait, Elle already walked over to the table and said, let's deal another hand. He, like, sits up fast enough that the tankard comes up off of his forehead and lands on the table, right side up, strangely enough. Right! Who's in? And he kind of starts making noise to all of the other patrons and making wild claims about how hardly he would trounce each one of them, and a couple of things about this guy's mother and this guy's wife and how much they all love gin, you know. Especially you, Charlie. You know, if you go over to Lacey's, you're not going back in the house tonight. Come have a seat, come have a drink, let me take all your money and then you can go home. I mean, someone's got to take the big guy's place, right? He was a head of hand or two, I think. No, me? Just me? That's what I thought. Right. So who's going to come take this off of me tonight? And he's got, like, he just takes all of the coins out of his pocket and stacks them in front of him like poker chips. You know, everything that he's won off of everybody tonight. Who's going to come take this off of me? And he, like, takes a card and, like, flips it up into the air and then catches it between his fingers, you know, flips it around a couple of times. Who's gonna come take this money off of me? It's burning a hole in my purse, I tell you what. And he, like, holds up an ace and then flicks it up into the air and catches it, and it's a 10, you know.
Tricks like that, they're gonna be taking more things off of you than just your coin.
I would like to watch them try with my big friend here watching me. Isn't that right, Will? Well, right. I mean, my old friend here watching me, right, Elle? Well, we're not really friends, are we?
Is
we could be, though.
Is the
Kind of like
is
looks
the
her up
other
and down.
crowd
Maybe not.
still gathered in front of the door?
No, they've sort of dispersed. They've,
Okay.
after that intimidation check by Will, have shuffled back to their seats. The loud atmosphere, you know, that had previously echoed around this room has sort of died down, and it's just sort of everyone is leaning in towards one another. These murmurs as they glance towards Jen, just looking around there. People aren't happy right now. And you see Sal off by the hearth that's cold, just wiping sweat from her brow. She's shaking, trying to swallow. Her hound just whining at her ankles.
Seeing the state Sal's in, Susan would go towards each of the major areas and cast Calm Emotions to try to get people to be more relaxed. And, you know, again, the verbal element of it is she starts telling some, like, fanciful body story about something ridiculous or whatever, just to, again, like, sort of, you know, try to get those sorts of so let me know how many you need me to cast, because I don't know how. Oh, I guess the area is like 10 feet or something like that.
Okay.
So, you know, ideally strategically placed at, like, the more tables that look upset. And she'd also smooth it over by, like, giving them, you know, like, rounds on the house or whatever.
Yeah, you'd probably need to cast it about twice.
Okay. And it's just a will save.
Excellent. All right. So both Jen and Elle would also need to make will saves. If I am correct, they are casting. She's trying to cast calm emotions on you guys.
Well, I mean, more on the patrons because they seem like they're okay, unless people are not okay over there.
Nobody is okay right now.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, would you exclude them from what you were trying to cast, or try and because it's an area effect, correct?
Yeah. So basically, again, like she wouldn't it's one of those things where if they are caught in the area of the people that she's trying to get to chill out, then that happens. But if it's but otherwise, she's not trying to get them to calm down because they seem okay.
I would say Will actually, or not Will, sorry. I would say that Jin actually would not fight
Yeah.
the calm emotions at all. He's willing. He's like, oh yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Like, he calms right down. It's like oh, that's nice actually.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I built this bard sheet specifically to break up bar fights.
What?
Will, breaking his typical character, looks to Elle. Miss Elle, if you'd be so kind as to check the back door.
Sure, I can do that.
What? I'm
Yes,
chopped
I'll
liver.
slowly
Don't.
get up and
Open it.
understood. I will go find the back door, I guess, slowly, carefully.
The back door is, you have to go across around the bar into the kitchen, and it's back through sort of these on either side, the pantries, just filled with food, chock filled with anything that you could want, all sorts of ingredients. It just sort of creates this aisle towards this back door.
Is it a strange amount of food?
It's well stocked. Let's say that.
Yeah, all we ever get is brown and bread.
I'll continue making my way back towards the door.
Yeah. You can see as you sort of go in closer to this door, just like the front door, there's this rhythmic thumping against it. Except at this one, it's sort of this thump and then a hand or a sound akin to that dragging down the door. And then the thump again, and then something sliding down the door at regular intervals.
Does it... Do I recognize the type of sound at all? Or, does it remind me of something?
It just sort of reminds you of that sound of when someone slaps a table and then drags their hand across it. You know how it catches and makes that slightly squeaking sound? That's what it sounds like, flesh hitting wood. How close do you get to the door?
I think pretty close. I'm at this point, I think, dangerously curious. I might even put my, I'll walk up and put my ear to the door and see if I can hear anything.
Yeah, you put your ear to the door. It is just in this very breathy voice. It's very light, almost, you almost missed it against the pattering of rain, the sound of the surf on the shore. It's just, please, you have to let me in. Please let me in. Please, you have to let us in.
Do
Again,
I
that
hear things
thumping
other than the
sound.
voice?
So similar sounds that you heard at the window. Screaming, the unearthly sounds of creatures that you don't know what they are. But it's just that cold chill that runs through you, that those fine hairs on the back of your neck standing on end, and you can see that your arms have broken out in goosebumps.
Just lean my forehead against the door and listen for a few more seconds.
And it's just those pleas. We'll die out here. You have to let us in. And then the thump and slide. Thump and slide.
I'm going to take a few steps back from the door, just kind of lean against a shelf, arms crossed, and just watch it. I don't know what's going on. I don't like it, but if it does put everyone else in danger, then I'm just going to watch the door, like Will said.
Yeah. We're going to cut away from that, back to Will. Still standing in front of that door, those double doors, that lead out into the rest of the town. Are you just watching?
Will's just staring. Elle. How's the rear door?
The same, I think. I'll walk back in there quickly because I don't want to shout this across the bar.
Yeah, actually, Elle, as you turn around to head towards the bar, the rest of the bar, Jin is standing right there. Quiet. He didn't hear him approach.
Hi.
Just didn't think you'd want to be back here all by yourself, that's all. Jin is not looking at Elle. He is staring at the door. He just kind of takes a step back and moves out of her way as she goes to walk towards Will.
You're not going to go through the door, right?
Not if you paid me to, love. He does not take his eyes off the door.
How close are you to the door?
Oh, I'd say probably a good 6 feet back, giving Elle enough room to put her ear to the door and then take a step back without bumping into him. He was more making sure that Elle didn't open the door. But now that he can hear everything out there, he's got the 1,000-yard stare on. So it's like it's almost like he can see through the door, like he knows what's on the other side, or thinks he knows what's on the other side.
Again, it's hard to pull your eyes away. It's still that rhythm, thump, slide. But you think you hear something. A whisper. Jen. Jen, you gotta let us in.
He takes
So
a step
soft.
towards the door.
The
And
voice
then
sounds
looks like he's going to take
familiar.
another step towards the door, but doesn't. And he just turns his back.
Yeah. Again, that familiar voice just keeps calling your name. But we are going to go back over to Susan.
Quick question. Is it a male or a female voice?
It's a male voice.
That's what I thought you were going to say, Sam. Okay.
I'll leave you to think that over.
Thanks.
Yeah, that baritone voice that's been weathered by the sea. Yep, but Susan. You have pulled up a stool for Sal and gotten her the brandy, the good stuff.
Yes. And she's just trying to, like, you know, use whatever bardly art she has to, like, you know, keep her, like, confident and, you know, like, I don't want to say soothe, but, you know, again, just bolstering that strength of, like, you know, in that the only way a bard can do with just inspirational words and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah. All color has drained from Sal's face. She's just pale. You don't know how old she is. She's just always been here. But you can see the lines on her face clearly now, the wrinkles around her eyes and her forehead, those laugh lines by her lips, and just that cold sweat pouring off of her. And she is trembling. She's white knuckled, hanging on to one hand on the chair and the other one on your wrist, just trying to draw comfort from you. I can't keep it up, Susan.
Yes, you can, Sal. We've done it before. We'll do it again, okay? Like, you just focus on me, all right? Listen to my voice. Just focus on me, okay? You can do this. It'll be all right. We got everybody in your corner here. We're all here for you. If there's anything you need, you just let me know, all right? I'm right here with you.
We're running out of time. There's not enough time.
Okay. What do
We're
you need, Sal?
Everyone's supposed to be happy right now.
Okay.
We're supposed to be acting like everything's normal.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Susan, you gotta make them happy. They have to eat the stew. They have to drink the ale. They have to eat the bread.
Okay. All right. I'm on it. Are you gonna be okay?
You just gotta make them happy. And I'll have the strength. I'll have the strength. I'll have the strength for the illusions. So they don't know that we're in here.
Okay. Did the calm emotions help at all, Sam?
For most of the room, it seems to have helped, but Sal is just beside herself. Her eyes just
Okay.
wide with panic. It didn't seem to help her.
Okay. Susan very quickly, like, you know, brings rounds of stew out, and, let's see. I
We're out of
can
time.
do... What?
We're out of time.
Oh gosh. Okay. What does that mean, Sal?
Will, the door, at thumping against it, it stops. Elle, Jen, on your side too, everything has gone quiet. You see Sal just rocking. I've ran out of time. Go ahead, Will.
Will takes a step back. 2 puts his right foot behind him as a brace and lifts the sword that he's been dragging around, holding it with 2 hands, putting it in front of him. Susan, another pint, please.
Yeah, Mr. Right away, Mr. Thane. She runs.
You're running back to the bar.
Mhm.
You see Jen and Elle through that little window back into the kitchen. Jen, is your hand on the door? Did we lose him?
My hand, no. My forehead, yes. So Jin has kind of slowly moved towards the door and has rested his head against the door and is just muttering under his breath. I don't think anybody would be able to understand what he's saying, but he seems to be trying to... He's kind of just talking to himself.
I'll step up behind him and put a hand on his shoulder.
He like jumps a little bit at the touch. Elle would be close enough to hear him just essentially saying, "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I tried. I did. I'm sorry." Just over and over and over again. He stops when she puts her hand on his shoulder. It looks like he's been crying.
Let's step back from the door.
He kind of lets her pull him back, and as she does, he like takes his hand and just places it on the door as he like steps away.
Yeah, that a sort of thump meets your own hand, dragged down as you were pulled away from the door by Elle. Just one last, and that's so familiar of a voice that you've been wanting to hear for so long. It's just, Jen, you have to let me in before it goes quiet.
for those near Will, his hand grips around the hilt of the blade, and years of just caked on mud and ale and mess just sort of flakes off of the blade as there's a symbol that glows at the pommel of an iron mountain and a sword plunged into it. Anyone else looking at Will can kind of see a smile come across his face.
Susan
Pour it slow,
would.
Susan. Pour it slow.
She walks over and hands him the pint, and assuming that he allows it, she would give him a little kiss on the cheek. Good luck, okay, Mr. Thane.
He just tilts his head. Leave the pint on the table. I'll finish it here when I'm done.
Can I get a promise out of you for that one?
Yeah. You have my word.
And I look forward to cleaning up the mess you're gonna make. And she would set it on the table and sort of start getting the patrons to more defensible positions.
Yeah, where are you? So are you like turning tables? Are you?
So again, at this point, Sal has communicated that like she can't do anything anymore, right?
Yeah, she
Okay.
has basically, like, she's trying so hard, but you can see
Then
that it's
yeah, so
shattering.
then basically she would get the patrons to that spot where Sal is by the fire and sort of like turn over some tables there, while she just kind of like again tries to like keep everybody calm, keep everybody like, yeah, you know, don't even worry about this, we do this once a month.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any pretending with them anymore. I mean, Will has picked up his blade. You're upending tables. Sal's a mess in the corner. Where's Elle?
I guess it depends on where Jin was. I was pulling him away from the door. Still watching the door. Just kind of slowly pulling him back from it. Saying that he's upset.
Interesting thing about the back door and not the front door is that there's a handle that you see slowly turning.
I will grab the handle and try and hold it still.
Does this door open in or out?
Opens in.
We need to barricade that door. Like, is there a barrel or something nearby that we can roll in front of that door?
You are in a fully stocked halfling kitchen. There are barrels.
That's what I was counting on. There's a full hogshead of beef just like right in front of that door.
Yeah.
Do you think that she ever actually puts any of this in the stew, or is this just all for decoration?
Let's try not to think
Sam,
about it. Let's just get this door blocked.
I can see
I'm gonna have to
everybody
have a
from
word with
where I
Sal.
am, right?
Right.
I cast guidance on each of them.
Perfect. Describe this guidance spell. You're in the middle of upending tables trying to direct, keep the panic down. And then you look towards Thane, towards Elle, towards Jen through that small window as they begin to, try and barricade this door. You're like,
yeah, so first, while because again it's a verbal spell. So she'd look at Thane and be like, "Hey, Will, may your sword arm strike true, hard and fast." And then she'd look through the window to Jen, and be like, or no, she'd first look at Al and be like, I don't know how you fight, sweetheart, but I don't want this to be the last that we get to hang out. So make sure you make it a good one, okay? As you feel that little bit of like extra pep in your step. And then she'd look through the window at Jin. We make it through this. I'll give you a kiss.
Now I will hold you to that. And he gets like his humor back almost instantly. It's like somebody flipped a switch. He goes from being like scared and sad to like his old self again, just like that. I'm gonna hold you to that. Make it two, actually.
I imagine you'd be holding some other things too,
Oh, see, I knew I was wearing you down.
I'm gonna roll my eyes
At
as
least
I am
54 layers.
by myself.
See,
pushing
that's
this barrel against
halfway
the
in
door.
one night.
yeah, all you can do is roll your eyes. Perfect.
Come now, lads. I want to live now. Come on.
Will, you have heard everything go silent on your side. The front door is open out, and you could see through that part where the two doors meet appearing as though they're being opened towards you or towards the outside, allowing you to look out very slowly.
He again sets himself, preparing for a swing, spending a focus point to call upon his deity for true strike, granting him a bonus for his next attack.
Perfect. Just ever so slowly, those doors are opening out. It's funny, there was that thumping against the door of like there are hands or something out there, but it's just darkness that you see. There's nothing sort of gripping around. It's like just waiting, like the shadows are opening it. But then
I am William Thane. I'll give you one chance to close that door, and one chance only. So close the door.
But we want in.
You are uninvited.
It's like
Now close that door.
Oh,
100 voices at once had said that, but they all sounded familiar to you, Will. Voices that you heard. Voices that you hear in your dreams that you still want to hear.
Don't you dare take their voice. If you speak to me, use your own. They do not belong to you.
Why are you being so mean? We just want in.
No. His breathing has become extremely heavy.
Door continues slowly to open, millimeter by millimeter, just halfway. It's almost if you're just staring at something too long and you don't seem to notice at first that something's moved until you look away, and then you look back and you realize that it's gone even further. The whispers have started back at the back door as well. Are you guys just trying to barricade it, or are you holding the door as well?
a little of both, I think.
Yeah, probably back up against the door.
Who's back?
I'll do it, since Jin didn't seem like he was in a good place.
You feel the door slowly opening, slowly pushing forward against you, your feet just sliding against it. It's very slow. You could almost attribute it to, that bit of alcohol you've had causing you to sway a bit.
Is it moving the barrels and such too?
Everything's moving.
Shit,
But how many
shit,
barrels
shit,
have you put
shit,
in?
Shit.
Jin, you roll me a strength check. Eliayns, again, these voices that are so familiar. Things that you've wanted to hear, that you wish had been told to you all those years ago. We miss you. Please come out.
And I recognize the voices.
Yes. They sound so familiar. Again, voices you've heard in your dreams 100 times saying these words that you've wanted them to say, that they want you to come home. They miss you.
Trying to hold my feet in the ground, trying to snap the door. You kicked me out. You abandoned me.
Voice is breathy. It was a mistake. Jen, you're able to start pushing barrels in front of that door. It seems like it might be slowing the opening. But maybe this is all just futile.
Suppose anything's possible.
All the voices continue in your head. come out and we'll tell you what we want you to hear, what you need to hear, what we should have said.
Won't you
You
listen?
kicked me out because I changed my name. How could I listen to you now when you were so callous? You've never seen me for who I am. Why should I listen now?
We're your family. That same time, the same phrase is said to Will. Susan, Jen, you guys all hear this too, in voices that are familiar to you, voices that you want to hear. Just,
Don't you
we're your
dare.
family.
My father is dead. I watched him die.
Did you though?
Whoever you are not my family.
Can I attempt a motivational speech to boost morale?
Yes.
Okay.
I will let you prepare that. Will, what is your reaction when you hear them say, we're your family?
I am here.
Hey,
Good idea.
he grabs out a locket that's been buried under his own beard. They died to my hands a long time ago. With that statement, can he make a Arcana or occult check to figure out what this might be?
Yeah.
Since, he's a monster hunter and all.
Let's do it. Occult or Arcana? Let's go with Arcana.
Arcana? Oh, I'm gonna HP that one. Oh, that's better.
A little bit better. A little bit better. This is not something that you have met, but it is something that you have read about. But it's so hard. You've drank so much this evening. So much whiskey, so much ale.
Can I do a bardic lore?
Yeah.
Because, like, bardic lore lets me roll for anything. Do you just want to... I don't know what the roll is. Let me double check.
This wouldn't apply to sailing lore, would it?
No.
It says...
But
so
you could
bardic
roll it.
lore is your studies make you informed on every subject. So, is it just a regular lore skill then? Or lore roll?
I believe you use your class level as the modifier with your stat. Could be wrong.
I don't know. It just says, you are trained in bardic lore, a special lore that can be used only to recall knowledge, but on any topic. You have legendary proficiency in occultism. You gain expert proficiency in bardic lore, but can't increase your proficiency rank.
All right. So yeah, it's basically a trained lore roll. So it's int plus the trained, which I think is a +4.
Yeah. How's that?
Alcohol.
I just rolled at what the lore that I have.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. There's something that everyone comes to the tavern at the end of the road for. Always coming here, and you know this. You've listened to so many stories, so many tales, so many different walks of life, but they all have one thing in common, that they are filled with pain and suffering and trial and those emotions that people just don't want to feel, that they try to stuff down and snuff out and hide. And whatever this is out there, these amalgamation of shadows and something, these voices that everyone's hearing, seems to stem from that. Sal's insistence that this illusion be kept up, that everyone needed to be happy for this one night, that just didn't seem to happen. You know, try as all of you might this night, didn't really get to the root of any of the problems. We just drank and ate and tried to be merry when in all actuality everyone's just a little bit miserable.
Okay. So with that understanding, hopefully my speech roll will be okay. So like again, so this time, she would flip one of the chairs back up and get on the chair, and just stand out, like looking over everybody so that way everyone can see and hear her, and just be like, all right, you guys, I know it's fucking scary out there, and I know everybody's worried and afraid, and I'm scared too, but at the same time, all you guys here, you took me in when no one else would, okay? Sal gave me a job, and it may not be the best job, but god damn it, I love all of you. Each and every one of you brings a smile to my fucking face every time I walk in this door. It's why I keep coming back. Even as much as I save up every single time. I know I should get out of here, but I don't. Because I love all of you so much, okay? We are all family here. The end of the road.
You said it. You love me.
The end of the road isn't just a bar. It's a destination, okay? And, we gotta defend that. There's something special here, okay? All of us here, again, we're family, not those things out there. Not whatever you've left behind. I know it's hard. I know it hurts. But we're all in this together, and that means something, okay?
Jen, you hear this. And then you hear the whispers. So, Elle, what are you going to do?
At this point, I think there are tears streaming down Elle's face. But hearing this and thinking about all of the found family she had on the ship and saying that that's what Susan has here, I think she's going to dig her feet in and push back a little more. She doesn't need the acceptance of those who kicked her out. If they can't handle who she is, then fine, she'll find more people who do. Even if she's alone now, it's something she can find again, something she can build again. So at Susan's urging, she will dig in and start pushing back against the door.
Jen, you see this. You see the dried tears on Elle's face as she is trying so hard, so desperately hard to push this door back.
Jen is going to almost psychotically so gets this big roguish shit-eaten grin on his face, and he starts to sing loudly and poorly and saucily a song like a bardic tale that Susan herself would be proud of. It involves several goats, at least 7 fishing nets, and 2 boats. And the details aren't important, but it's funny. It's really, really dirty, and he is gone from morose and kind of depressive into, do you want happy? I'll give you happy. I'm gonna kiss that girl. You know, he's like determined that he is gonna make it through the night with Susan, and so he has heard all of the talk about everybody needs to be happy. So that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna try and get some happy out of people, and he's behind the bar now, and despite I would assume protests from Sal, then again maybe not, he just starts pouring drinks, singing this bawdy, raunchy song, and just trying to get as many laughs out of the patrons as possible, and casting very wicked glances at Susan at every opportunity he has.
Perfect.
Lots of
Good
like
luck,
jumping
Elle,
up
closing that
onto the
door.
bar. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, no, she's got it.
She's got it.
She's got it.
Will, what about you? You
Yeah.
heard those voices.
Yeah. As I said, Will pulled out a locket that was hidden beneath his own beard. He pops it open, and some tears run down his eyes. As for a moment he sees himself and realizes what a mess he is. And he closes the locket, and he looks back at the door, and gets ever closer. I want to thank you for visiting us this evening. You have reminded me that there are things out there that make people afraid, that hunt them. And you have reminded me that I am here to hunt you. It is my oath to the Lord of Irons that the unnatural be torn from this land, And I had forgotten that for a long time. But whatever you are, wherever you come from, run. And run fast. Because if you don't, I will find you. And I will kill anything that comes between me and whatever you are.
Sam, is there a fear effect, like, essentially going on right now?
That's a good question. If only you had a roll that could detect that.
Well, I mean, are people acting afraid, is what I meant.
I mean, they have every reason to be afraid right now.
Because I have this thing called no cause for alarm. You attempt to reduce panic. Attempt a diplomacy check, comparing it to the will DC of creatures in a 10-foot emanation around you who are frightened. Would that be appropriate in this situation?
Go ahead. I could aid you.
Figure anybody that's coming to the bar and getting the drinks from Jin would be in this in this radius. A 25. No cause for alarm, nothing to be afraid of. Come have a drink. Don't forget to tip your waitress.
That allows me some overtime.
Definitely. Will, as you look through that sliver, that portion of the door that is opened, you suddenly see the darkness begin to dissipate. Elle, you shove one last time desperately against the door, and it gives. It snaps closed. Will, as you're looking through and the shadows begin to recede, you can see just across the waters the sun beginning to rise. Just this brief light that slowly builds, lighting the city before you that you've come to call home. And it seems you've weathered some sort of storm. But as you continue to look out, and the city comes more into view as the light begins to snake across the various crevices of the world, everything outside is destroyed, just in pieces, shattered. Bodies lining the street. Basically, you can see you weren't quite sure if the surf was red from the rising sun, but now you're certain that it's red from the blood that has been spilt outside of this tavern at the end of the road. This is the one building still standing. We push the doors open wider. Go ahead.
Slowly push them open, yeah.
As you push the doors open, one of them just completely falls off its hinges, and the sound is too loud as it echoes onto the cobblestone street. The crowd, the patrons behind you turn to look out. Everything is gone.
Jin is not looking.
Yeah. Destroyed.
Oop. It's not
In
true.
the
Will
back,
grabs the pint that Susan brought over, drinks it, takes the bag of coin that he has attached to the back of his belt, and just drops it into the pint. Doesn't say a word, just walks out and walks down the street. He is going to find whatever this was.
Before he goes, Susan would give him a light touch on his arm, and he would feel their minds connect for a second as she gives him the whole download about what that, like the rumors and legends and stuff that she's heard about that sort of phenomenon. And she doesn't say anything else, just kind of, collects the empty glasses and moves to check on Elle.
If you ever find yourself wanting the road again, I'll pass by here and let me know. Thank you, Susan.
Might take you up on that, Mr. Thane. Thank you for your generosity.
He stops for a second, goes to the nearest trough, whether there's blood in it or not, dunks his entire face into it, shakes it off, nods, and does the walk off into the sunrise bit.
What about Elle? Your back's against that door.
Yeah, back against the door, slid all the way to the ground, forehead on my knees. Just going to sit there like that for a while. This was a lot. And start thinking about where the next place is that she may move on to.
Susan would kneel down next to her, a little plate of pie again, and just be like, "You look like you could use this."
Yeah, I would be good. Thank you.
You can always take a rest here, as long as you need, okay?
Are you all hiring by any chance?
Imagine we're a little short-staffed. Sal can always use some more hands. Maybe the brown would be a little less lumpy with you in the back.
I don't have anywhere else
I know
to be.
I'd like a friendly face.
Same.
You gonna be okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Susan would just sort of give her a little tilt on her chin. You're gonna be okay. I can just know these things, You see, you get a look, a feel about people. You got this. I got a promise to keep.
Good luck.
And she'd give Elle a little wink over her shoulder and walk towards Chin. You comported yourself pretty good back there. I was mighty impressed. James? Did we lose him?
Sorry, I was just responding to something. I missed that.
You comported yourself pretty good. I was impressed.
Jin is like leaning on the bar, eyes closed, like drink in hand, pointedly not looking at the door or the windows or at Susan. Actually, he's not actually looking at anybody. He's got, his deck of cards in one hand, and he's doing the one-handed deck cut just over and over and over again. And he just says, kind of almost under his breath, sorry, hey, thanks. You're not so bad yourself.
I did make you a promise.
You don't have to. No, I'm not going to hold you to that.
The first time in a long time when you said you haven't followed up with things you want to hold.
Kind of like glances up at her with that. He's very subdued, but that twinkle of that roguish mirth in his eye as he looks up at her and goes, there are a lot of things I want to hold. Doesn't seem like the right time. Or maybe it's the best time.
I mean, I'm always the one who thinks near-death experiences make you want to celebrate the living of it all. But, if you'd rather kiss other girls, then, I can just go over there.
I mean...
again, I know that I'm just, so hideous and not your type.
He grabs her and, pulls her across the bar and just plants one on her. What's that you were saying about celebrating the life?
Oh, I think I didn't quite catch that the first time. Might need a repeat of that,
Oh. Let me repeat myself then. Then he gives her even one better. Like that second kiss in the movie where it's a little slower, it's a little deeper, it's a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Perfect note to end on. Sorry, we went a little bit long tonight. Exactly. I love it. Anyways, guys, this was Tavern at the End of the Road. I had one idea of where it was going to go and then decided we're going to go someplace else, and it was a ride. So I love this group of role players. You guys were amazing, and thank you for holding the fort when I was going crazy over here. So you guys are all amazing. As always, make sure to check our schedule. We have Tuesdays and Thursdays with D&D 5e, Fable Forge, and their campaigns at 8 EST and 9 EST. Other than that, we have Friday Night Frights with RQ Staffen, who is an absolutely amazing GM. If you like horror, go over there. And yeah, guys, I told you, it's just going to be us in a tavern all night and just fun, loving, good times. That's what I do. But yeah, enough from me. Let's go around, starting with James. Let us know where we can find you, what you're doing, and anything else you want to say, and then we'll wrap up maybe before 12:30 my time, so it'll be great.
Well, then I will keep this short and sweet. I am James. You can find me on Twitter at JamesRGlass. You can find me here on Sunday nights with the Age of Ashes campaign with Ian, Sam, Jen, Mr. Smith, and a couple of other fantastic people. Well, I guess just Daniel. Did I leave somebody out? No.
Ian, but he's not important.
Yeah.
I said Ian.
I mean, no, he is the most handsome, amazing person that we all should respect and revere.
And the best
If you haven't
DM,
guessed-
present company excluded. Yeah.
Ian is our GM on our Age of Ashes game. Sorry, Anna. We'll do that.
As always, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/pennyforatale. And yeah, give us all of your hard-earned money because you love us and we love you.
All right, Jen.
Hello, I'm Jen. Tonight I played Susan. I had a really great time. And this whole idea came from this TikTok that I saw of somebody doing a D&D waitress, and I just kept spamming Ian with it of like, we need to have this as a game. And it was awesome, so thank you, Sam. I can be found at Savage Sparrow on the internet. SavageSparrow.com is my amazing website for nerdy apparel and accessories. Also, please check out the Necrobiotic Kickstarter. It's a really cool system, and all of us here have worked on it in some way, other than Anna, sorry. But, you know, it's really awesome. You know, there's a bunch of stretch goals that still need to be reached, so you can still contribute. And finally, I will be running a one-shot next Sunday, and it's going to be weird, and hopefully really cool. So you should also watch that.
By Mr. Smith. You are muted.
My mouse was not cooperating. Hello, I'm Mr. Smith. I played Will Thane this evening. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Sam, for a wonderful game. As has been mentioned, we are here every Sunday with some sort of Pathfinder thing. As of late, please definitely check us out. Hit the follow, the subscribe, and all of those things to help support the channel. I want to thank Anna for joining us. It was lovely to have you. Fantastic scenes. Thank you so very, very much. And with that, you can find me on Twitter at Mr._Smith. Or I have a website, IamMrSmith.com. And you can also find me on Penny whatevers. But yes, thank you all. Thank you, Sam. It was awesome.
Right. And last but not least, our wonderful Anna, who joined us tonight.
Yeah, so Anna played Elle tonight. Thank you for having me on. It was so much fun. You can find me on Twitter at Anna Wotan. I talk about queer stuff with cultural institutions, and play a lot of TTRPGs. I have a few things coming up that I think are going to be a lot of fun. So keep an eye on my Twitter to find out about this. Again, it was so much fun.
Yay, I'm so glad. We were definitely going to have you back because you brought an amazing power to your scenes, and just, it was so good. As always, I'm Scribbling Penny or Sam. Yeah, of course. You can find me on the internet as some form of this name. And make sure that you check out Weave the Tell Twitter as well. We will have casting calls going out this upcoming week for our next season, with a lot of amazing shows. That are in the mix. It is going to be a great summer over there. Other than that, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you tune in next week with Jen and her one shot, which it's going to be spooktacular, and I'm scared. But as you can tell, I live for the horror, so it'll be good.
I mean, you
Um,
shouldn't be scared yet.
I'm one of those people that psych myself out and think of the worst possible case scenario ahead of time, so it's fine. Anyways, let's get everyone to bed. Thank you for watching, and as always, have an amazing night.